Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I'm joined as ever by Mr. Matthew Turner. Matt Turner, good sir, how are you? As you are now, I believe, above freezing.
Yeah, we were 5 degrees above freezing today, and it's only going to be getting warmer. So, considering it was 0 degrees and 3 degrees, and when I left for the gym yesterday, it was negative 3 degrees. Today was 37, which it's 32 is freezing, for all of us over here in the western part of the world. So, yeah, 37 it got up to today, and it's supposed to be hitting the 40s the rest of the week, and then the mid 40s I think over the weekend, so it may melt some of the snow. One Mr. Rob Goodwin. So super excited about that. I'm also super excited to start this podcast off with my usual apology for a year and a half ago on my rant on the Sayaka Kurara heel turn.
Yep.
Because boy howdy, this is obviously Sayaka Kurara is a member of the faction Hate. You're gonna think by the end of this episode, the faction that she's a part of is called Love, because there's gonna be a lot of love for the World of Stardom champion, in my opinion, the best wrestler on planet Earth right now, in one Sayaka Kurara. Because wowzers! I mean, obviously, what a match! We'll obviously get into it, talking about the Supreme Fight show. But Rob Goodwin, obviously, we have a lot of news to talk about. I do
We
want to
do.
let you know we're going to try to make this a usual part of the show when we review these pay-per-views, even though he is not here. One Andy Header did send me best hair and best gear for
Yes.
Supreme Fight. So we're gonna obviously, if you listen to Talk Joshi when we review Sunday Girls or Oz Academy or Tokyo Joshi Pro, obviously most of Talk Joshi is Tokyo Joshi Pro and Sendai Girls. Andy gives his best hair and best gear for each show. And then, so basically, what we're going to try to do is for every big Stardom show and Marigold show, as Rob just was really happy. Did your team get a goal there, buddy?
We did, and it actually should count now as well.
It's
Sorry, do
crazy.
continue. So unprofessional.
But nah, you're good, buddy. You're good. It's the added. That's the art of wrestling. No, so what Andy's gonna do is for every big, whether it be Marigold show, Stardom show, or whatever, he is going to text in what his favorite gear and outfit is, because everybody keeps asking. Everybody keeps asking. And he's the only one qualified, buddy. Not me,
Absolutely. We've
not
been there.
you. Yeah, he's the deal. He was the real deal. But brother, I'm really good. No sense of complaining. Everything is fantastic. Excited to talk about these new blood shows, which had some very young wrestlers in there, my
Very
friend.
young wrestlers. Yeah, absolutely.
Yikes. And then a really great Supreme Fight show with an absolute must-see match of the year candidate with Sayaka Kurara and Starlight Kid that is getting all sorts of buzz, especially over my neck of the woods. I can't remember a time that a Joshi match got this much buzz over here in North America. So super excited about that. But enough with me, buddy. How's everything with you?
Yes, not too bad. Not too bad. Obviously, we were talking beforehand as the Newcastle commentary is coming up. And just before we recorded, I thought Newcastle had scored and got very, very excited. And then it got cancelled out, and we've just scored again. So hopefully that one will stand. It looks like it has. So I'm very, very happy. Played football on Sunday, Matt. And for listeners of last week's podcast, you will know that I put in last week one of the worst performances you've ever seen. I was effectively Cain Velasquez at Crown Jewel. I was that bad. I was the Great Khali in any Great Khali match, to be perfectly honest. Immobile, full of food, and completely incapable of movement. I'm not saying that I was a lot better, but I was certainly better on Sunday, even if the result didn't reflect it, Matt.
Well, there you go, buddy. What was the now I need to know. What was the final? Did you get whipped like the New England Patriots got whipped, or?
It's hard to compare them simply because obviously we don't tend to go up to like 20. It felt like we would go up to 20 at one point because I think the final score was 7-1, which is pretty much the same as the drubbing the Seattle Seahawks levied upon the New England Patriots. Yes.
Well, there you go. There you go. I saw a decent amount of the game. Went a little bit after making well over 100 pizzas, which I normally tend to do
You
on
did. I
Super Bowl
was thinking
Sunday.
of you.
Yes, and it's actually one of our slower Super Bowls. It's probably the slowest one in
Really?
6 or 7. Yeah, there's some times where it's just like yowzers. It gets in
Did
the
the
high hundreds.
Eagles win last year?
The Eagles won last year against the
How many
Chiefs.
pointers do you think you made last year?
That was a $160, a $170 easy. But when the Eagles played the Chiefs, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, that was well over 200.
Well, you were going to say 500 or 600 pizzas. I was like, Christ alive.
Geez, no, I think it was well over 200. I think the owner said that might have been the one day single record was well over
Wow.
200. Yeah. So
Unsurprising, really.
yeah, I mean it's just who it's the busiest Sunday of the year. But a really good buddy of mine who's actually in Amber and I's wedding, he lives like 2 mile or like 5 minutes down the road. And he always has a Super Bowl party and he always invites me. And by the time I get done, I'm so exhausted and I was like, I just want to go home. But I was like, yeah, no, I'll stop by. So me and Lily stopped by, had a drink, it was nice catching up with them. So I saw, I think, the first quarter and a half. And then by the time I dropped Lily off and then got home, it was the start of the fourth quarter, where it was like 19-0. So from what I understand, from what I was told, no Marvel trailers, Rob. And that was the thing I was looking forward to the most.
I thought they'd announced that there was going to be one.
They did, but then our buddy Chad, hi Chad,
Hi, Chad.
he did tell me a few days before the Super Bowl that Marvel made an announcement that they're probably pulling the trailers from Super Bowl. They didn't say the reason why, but my guess is those trailers cost anywhere between $8 to $10 million to air when they can just air them on YouTube, not only for free, but make a bunch of money. So that's probably my line of thought. Like they really don't need the to put out the $10 million for the 1 minute trailer on the Super Bowl when it's just going to get like 50 million views on YouTube, considering everybody can watch it on the phone and they can make ad money from it. So that is my guess because Disney needs more money. These movies aren't
Absolutely.
yeah, and then we know
I've
Doomsday
heard
is going to
barely,
tank.
barely head above water, Disney. Barely head above water. Did they? I know that they were talking about potentially releasing the first full trailer for Supergirl. Did that happen?
I actually saw that a few days prior.
Okay.
I think I did. I know they did a trailer for Super Mario Galaxy, which that looks really good. The first one was great. And then I believe there was a trailer for Mandalorian and Grogu. So this year, as you know, Rob, I'm a big fan of going to the movies. This is going to be a really good year with Spider-Man, with Supergirl, with Super Mario Galaxy, Toy Story 5, which don't know. I think even Lily said, I think that it's ran its course, but I was like, I still might go just because it's an excuse to go to the movies. Yeah, Spider-Man, obviously Avengers, Doomsday, that's the big one at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
But a lot of really great stuff on the docket, my friend, in the movie theaters in 2026.
And including the big screen debut of Lobo, which I am absolutely I cannot begin to describe how excited I am for Jason Momoa's Lobo. That's like, I couldn't care less about the rest of the Supergirl film. Although having read about what the film is about, sounds really interesting. They've gone a proper dark way after the Superman film. But yeah, I am well excited to see Lobo. I just hope he's got a decent part. And he's not just one of those where, yeah, he's going to be in the film, he's going to be in the film, he's going to be in the film. And then they've got him at like 30-second intro at the end.
Yeah, and that's it. Oh, you mean Back to the Beginning host Jason Momoa?
Absolutely. That's exactly what I mean.
I went actually over the weekend. I actually went back and started watching some of that. The Aussie stuff I was like still a little tricky to me to get to without getting all teary eyed. But I went back and watched.
Of course,
he was so great. Jason Momoa was so great as the host, and then it was great when he came out during Pantera. He slammed a Guinness and he's like, "I'm going to announce this band, then I'm going to get in the pit with you." And he was just in the mosh pit for the entire Pantera set. I was like, he's a man of the people, Jason Momoa. He really is. I remember a couple years ago, he was signing autographs at Comic-Con and he was walking by his booth and people were going up to him, getting a picture taken with him. And then his media, he's like, "Yeah, sure, you can take a picture with me." And his media's like, "No, they have to pay for the photo with you." He's like, "Oh, okay, sorry." Like just the coolest down to earth guy.
Love that. What a dude. What a dude. Perfect casting as well. Absolutely perfect casting. But yeah, it's a shame they've pulled a Marvel film because, again, the whole point of the Super Bowl, it feels like, aside from the actual game itself, obviously, is the trailers. Like, that's the thing that everyone gets excited for. But congratulations, the Seattle Seahawks. I'd love to know what that feeling of winning lots of things is like, but I'm a Newcastle fan, so therefore we don't have that feeling.
You're part of the Stardom cast on the World of Joshi podcasting network, buddy. So that's a big win.
I am winning at life.
Look at that, buddy. See, there's always gotta look for the positive. It's there. It is there. And you've written
Absolutely.
4 books, excuse me, 4
Four
books.
books.
So, yes.
4 books, yes. And one coming in July, in fact. So that is just getting wrapped up at the moment. So
Oh, what one's that? Let's get a quick plug.
that is the first half of the Monday Night Wars 1996, which is from January all the way up to Bash at the Beach. Because I was going to do 1996 as one book, and up to July is 560 pages. I thought, you know what? We're going to cut that in 2. I think that's probably the best way. So yes, that is that should, in theory, the tentative release date July 7th, which of course will be 30 years to the day that Hulk Hogan turned heel and joined the NWO. So yeah, a little bit of hopefully, if all goes well, a little bit of good timing. Now, obviously, today we are going to be talking about the most important show that has happened in Stardom in what feels like a while, to be fair, and that is, of course, New Blood 28. No, we've also got New Blood 29, and then obviously the big main event, the Supreme Fight 2026 in Osaka show that happened on the 7th of February. We're going to be talking about all 3 of those shows. Just want to remind you, this is a review show, so if you haven't seen the pay-per-view yet, there will be spoilers. So please don't go, I can't believe you spoiled it all, when it's a review in the title. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. Got lots of news as well. We have got Syuri appearing in the UK. We have got the Sareee-ISM card announced for the end of March as well for Chapter 10 in Yokohama Budokan, which looks exceptionally exciting. We've got new challenges for the red belt, the white belt, and the high speed title, as well as a brand new pay-per-view in the Stardom canon as well. But Matt, before we talk about any of that, good sir, and before you go into what will be, I imagine, a recurring segment on the Stardom cast, in your apology to Saya Kamatani and the heel turn itself.
And love.
Absolutely. Let's talk about what is coming up on the World of Joshi Patreon this week.
After searching for so many weeks, and then Rob's like, don't worry, I got you. Alternate commentary. I watched it. I called it. It was great.
It's a great match, isn't it?
A great match. Meiho Suzuki, also known. I halfway through the match, I'm like, I'm calling her May Sarah.
It's hard, to be fair.
May Sarah, Rin Katakura, and Takumi Iroha. They try to invade Stardom, but it's not the welcoming wagon. Welcome. It's Queen's Quest of Azumi, Momo Watanabe, and Utami Hai. It's just a great 6-person tag action that is up on your Patreon feed for the World of Joshi. Now, I did make mention last week that myself and Andy Header were supposed to be doing a watch along to the Tokyo Joshi Pro Bullet Train match. Fortunately, Andy Header had to work late. Now, normally I would just do it solo. It's fine. I would do it solo. I'm like, this is a match that I need to watch with my buddy, with Andy, because I think it would heighten the excitement. So I held off on it. We're supposed to record this week. Again, cards subject to change. So hopefully that Bullet Train match will be on your feed sometime this weekend. But what'll probably be up on your feed, probably about the time this drops, is my review of Sayaka Kurara's win in the 2025 Cinderella tournament. And then I added on the match that she cashes her wish in with one Saya Kamatani. So you get
what timing that is, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't even mean to do. I recorded that, I think, on Friday, either Thursday or Friday. I recorded it, and then obviously we'll talk about it. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to add this one on as well. So I get the you have the first round, the second round, the semifinals, the finals, and then I added on that fantastic match with Saya Kamatani for the World of Stardom Championship. That should be on your feed, Bobby, about the time this drops. And then obviously next week, more alternate commentary. I'll probably be going back watching maybe Grand Princess, maybe 2022, 2023, as we were a month away from that, over for Tokyo Joshi Pro. So there's going to be a lot of really great stuff over on the World of Joshi Patreon extra. And as always, folks, if you have suggestions, just let me know. Drop me a line. I'm really easy to get a hold of.
Just a reminder, patreon.com/World of Joshi. Of course, if you want all of these episodes early and ad free, then of course as little as $1 solitary a month. Now, Matt, obviously, before I delve straight into the news that we're actually going to talk about, you teased a little bit of news that apparently was huge, and obviously
Oh, I already said it. Andy Header. He's giving us.
There you go.
It
Yes.
was so huge we needed to announce it twice in 15 minutes. Yes,
There you go.
when we get to the end of Supreme Fight, aka the Sayaka Kurara Starlight Kid, amazing must see match.
I thought we'd had that conversation before, and then you'd said, right, no, makes sense now. It's been a long day, guys. Been a really long day, but I'm back. It's fine. We're good.
But again, folks, so for listener retention at the end of the show, Andy Header did send in his best hair and best gear for Supreme Fight. And he actually gave an honorable mention as well, which might have been the first time he's ever done that. So stay tuned.
There must have been someone that really pushed him then in that case, if he felt he had to mention. I will just point out now, it doesn't matter because I'm not qualified, but Amisori's new gear, very, very good. Big fan of Amisori's new gear. Let's delve straight into some news then, and we are going to start by talking about the latest in the Sareee-ISM chronology, and that is, of course, Chapter 10, the 15th anniversary show of Syuri that will air at the Yokohama Budokan on March 22nd. In typical Sareee style, she has put together an absolutely barn burner of a card. The main event being Spark Rush, Sareee and Takumi Iroha against Chihiro Hashimoto and Syuri. So we get to revisit that wonderful feud from last year, Sareee and Syuri once more. Kyoto Ito versus Natsupoi has also been announced. We have got Senka Akatsuki and 2 mystery partners against Fuwa-chan and 2 mystery partners. Gee, I wonder who Fuwa-chan's mystery partner is going to be. We've then got Chi-Chi and Miku Kanai versus Amu Fujiwara and Rina. Now, that is Team LLPWX. Rina is the former Nori, and Amu Fujiwara is a very, very impressive rookie that Sareee went to go and see in the LLPWX dojo, and apparently was so impressed with what she saw that she invited her to be a part of this show. So very excited to see what she is going to be doing. And then Kikyo Furusawa from Stardom will also be on this card as well. She'll be taking on Seedlings Celine Misora. Matt, a typically stellar Sareee-ISM card, which we've almost come to expect nowadays. I imagine that this is going to do a great number at Yokohama Budokan. Obviously, all of the other Sareee-ISM shows have been at Shinjuku Face and have, I think, sold out Shinjuku Face. The last couple have sold out in record time. I expect this to do great numbers. There was someone on Twitter, and I apologize, I cannot remember who put it up there, but they said, I would love it to be Senka Akatsuki and Magenta versus Fuwa-chan and FWC.
There's a lot of people. There was a lot of people that said that. Yeah.
Just stop the presses. Do you know what? No more wrestling in 2026. If that's the bar we're setting in March, no way we're topping that.
I mean, then we got a couple big shows in April, and then something big coming in May, a couple days after my birthday, which I know we're going to get into, buddy. But boy, what a loaded main event. I'm looking, if you're watching this on YouTube, I mean, look at Takumi Iroha, Sareee, Syuri, Chihiro Hashimoto. Rob, rank them from 1 to 4 the hardest hitter. No, you can't. There's no way. They're all tied at 1. They're all tied at 1.
I mean, I would say that Syuri is the best striker.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's literally 1A and then 3 1Bs. In terms of power, Chihiro Hashimoto, hands down. Like, I have never seen a woman like her.
Yeah, this is going to be great. The one little thing I'm worried about is, again, as you mentioned before, partner, this is not in Shinjuku Face. It's in Yokohama Budokan. What is Syuri going to jump off to give somebody double stomp? Because we used to say, like, they should just set up like 4 random tables to make it look like a little bit like Shinjuku Face, maybe after the 4th row. Just be like, why are those 4 random tables there? They're never there before.
Just sorry, jump off the balcony. Just do it off the balcony. Yeah, absolutely.
It is their anniversary show.
It is absolutely gorgeous. Something special.
Super excited though. The whole card looks really good. But yeah, I didn't even get out of bed, and on my phone, I was looking at my phone this morning, and I saw this, and then I was tagged in a decent amount of tweets that people were saying Magenta teaming with Senka to take on FWC and Fuwa-chan. I'm like, all right, way to go. This is great. You knew, because I think she announced that for her 15th anniversary show, I think she announced like 7-8 months in advance that she was running the Yokohama Budokan, and we knew we were going to be getting a big blockbuster main event. I mean, this is one of the biggest ones she's ever announced. Really, like, maybe the only other thing that I can think that would be bigger would be Syuri versus Sayaka Kurara for the World of Stardom Championship, which I kind of wasn't ruling out, but we're getting that. And about 3 weeks later, not for the World of Stardom Championship, but that three-way, because Kenta Kobashi and Syuri are trying to outdo each other for Booker of the Year.
Of course.
But I mean, it's exciting. It's just another great thing to look forward to. Legendary Notre Dame Lou Holtz always said, to keep a positive mind, you always have to have something to look forward to. Ta-da! Ta-da! But yeah, this is going to be great. Super excited for it. And it's going to be interesting to see how a Sareee Cell Produce show does sell in the Yokohama Budokan, because I think that building seats somewhere close to 3,000, depending on how they scale it. So, yeah, I mean, really interesting. Obviously, every match looks really good. Super excited for it.
Yeah, just looking at the Stardom attendances in terms of Yokohama Budokan, there's quite a vast spread, as obviously they started running Yokohama Budokan just after COVID hit. So their lowest in the venue is 707. Their highest is 2,507, which gives them an average of the 19 shows they've run there, about 1,200 or just over 1,250 to be precise. In terms of their average there, I think Sareee, I mean, as you mentioned, it depends how they sort of how they work the seating, how they scale it. I would be surprised if Sareee gets under 1,200 people. I think she'll get 1,200 people there. That's me personally, but again, we'll see.
I'm gonna say 15, 16 on it, but obviously we will talk about that here on the Stardom Cast once that match does happen. That's going to be right around the middle of the Cinderella tournament as well. Wow, we are going to be busy folks in the month of March, good sir.
Absolutely. Feels like we always are, though. Stardom are constantly dropping new stuff. That being said, they weren't the only ones. Pro Wrestling Eve have decided that they are going to try and bankrupt me in the month of March, because their show on Friday, the 6th of February, they dropped more announcements for Wrestle Queendom 8. As a reminder, you have got the former Dakota Kai making her first wrestling appearance. She'll be challenging Chris Statlander. You've got Willow Nightingale, Harley Cameron of AEW fame also on this show, Dash Chisako, Miyu Yamashita, Jamie Hayter, all on this show. And then, as though that wasn't enough, Syuri got announced as well. Now, this will be just after her IWGP Women's Championship defense against Athena, which we talked about last week. Now, there is every possibility that we may see another IWGP Women's Championship defense. Now, again, we know that Stardom are not opposed to her defending the belt in Pro Wrestling Eve. We saw a fantastic match with Alex Windsor, for example. But the idea of the likes of a Miyu Yamashita or the Miyu Yamashita being on that card and not yet being announced in a match, it's not going to be Miyu Yamashita. I'm just going to put that out there. It's not going to be Miyu Yamashita, but we can dream. While it hasn't been announced, we can dream. But yes, again, if you aren't already coming down to watch Wrestle Queendom 8, which is going down March 8th at the Indigo at the O2 in London, definitely come down and watch the show. And do you know what? If you're there, you might as well come down on the Friday and watch the show on the Friday, because on that show, you've got Jamie Hayter versus Miyu Yamashita. So you might as well, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of just, again, so much great wrestling. You mentioned Syuri versus Athena. Again, that's coming up at the end of this month. I'm up 90 some odd % sure that I am going to be there for that show. And then Rob will be at these two shows, the one on Friday and the one on Sunday. So what are you going to do on that Saturday, buddy? Like, you're like, what are you
just drink, I think. Just drink. I know there's a couple of friends coming down. I know that Kevin Mullen, who obviously we spent a lot of time with in Japan, he's talking about coming down as well. And I can't believe I didn't mention this. Azumi versus Sapphire Reed is also on this card. You know, again, Will Ospreay trying to bankrupt me with all the meet and greets I'm going to try and get. But yes, very, very, very exciting. That Saturday is going to be primarily, I imagine, just me drinking, trying to recover from the show on Friday.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, again, Syuri and Miyu Yamashita. It's myself and Andy Header, we did it for Patreon, which we just released on the main Joshi, the new Talk Joshi feed, just as a thank you. We did a fantasy booking thing, and like Syuri versus Miyu Yamashita was a match that we definitely would like to see, and that's like probably my ultimate Joshi dream, like sort of dream match that can happen. I mean, because we've been seeing these forbidden doors basically blown off the hinges. So Rob said it's not going to happen. I'm going to say there's maybe a 50% shot at it. I mean, who knows? I think if that match was to happen, they would probably do it in Japan for a big draw. But I mean, you can kind of set the seeds here. But regardless, the show on Friday, the show on Sunday, absolutely loaded. I know there's like a pay-per-view stream or I think you subscribe to the YouTube channel or something like that. You'll be able to watch it. So yes, these two shows will definitely be getting not only Rob's money, Rob be spending a lot more money than me. I'll be in the comfort of my own home, but I'll definitely be shelling out the money for this one. Absolutely 100%. Why wouldn't you? But yeah, I mean, Syuri, Azumi, Miyu Yamashita, Jamie Hayter, Willow Nightingale, Azumi. I mean, just it's a who's Joshi list. I mean, Will Ospreay, I guess, throwing his hat in the ring as well as trying to become the best booker. And Will Ospreay is very big on women's wrestling. I mean, he's very complimentary towards especially the Joshis. I know he was on Jericho's podcast about a year or so ago, and I think he said something, whoever your favorite wrestler is on WWE TV, 90% of the Joshis can probably work circles around them. And that's Will Ospreay, maybe the best wrestler, him and Sayaka Kurara right now going. But he's doing a great job booking these shows. And I think he seems to do them like once a quarter or so, Rob. It really seems like that we get these really great, like almost like bonus Joshi shows once a quarter from Will Ospreay. So Will Ospreay is going to be doing some Joshi booking on the side, and it's in your neck of the woods, Rob Goodwin. All for that. The more the merrier, the more great wrestling. Who's going to say no to it, my friend?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, will hopefully be wrestling at All In. I imagine there will be a Pro Wrestling Eve show on the Friday of that weekend as well. And Lord knows who he's going to be bringing over for that show. He has said there's more announcements in the clip. So I don't know who else he's going to be announcing for this show. But if Hazuki comes on, I'm afraid I might lose me damn mind. What I will say is, again, I'd love for it to be Syuri versus Miyu Yamashita. I would be incredibly surprised because the idea of them having a Stardom wrestler work with a TJPW wrestler just doesn't happen. So again, it would be great. Tempering expectations, probably not going to be that.
Positive spin, Rob. I'm gonna put my money in agreeing with you. Positive spin on it. If it was to happen, what a great first match to have with Tokyo Joshi Pro versus Stardom.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's
absolutely
the way to go. That and then Hyper Masao versus maybe Fukium Death.
Oh, imagine. Moving on then, and we haven't really heard a lot aside from Olympia doing her tour of Stardom, much of the CMLL and Stardom partnership that was announced last year. However, it has been announced that the new challengers for the CMLL World Women's Tag Team Championships have been announced. Who, you may ask? Why, it's Neo Genesis's Mei Seira and Starlight Kid, who will be challenging the team who are currently champions, which is Juvia and La Jarochita. Obviously, Juvia we know from a handful of dates in Stardom, and that will be on March 6th in Arena, Mexico. Now, I know criminally little of Lucha Libre or CMLL in general. Again, the stuff that I know of Juvia is her stuff in Stardom and the CML versus the World match that they did, and I know nothing of La Jarochita, but I am looking forward to this match, Matt.
Yeah, and more than likely we'll be able to see this because I know CMLL puts a lot of their stuff either on YouTube or on Triller Plus, which I do have. Obviously, everybody has YouTube, and I do have Triller Plus because they have a lot of great content. And of course, and it's Mei Seira and Starlight Kid. Not a pairing we don't see that much as part of Neo Genesis. We usually see Azumi with Starlight Kid or Azumi with Miyu Amasaki. Too many Miyus and Yukis.
There is too many Miyus.
Yeah, there's a lot of Yukis too. But but this is a really cool pairing. May and Starlight Kid going over to Mexico in Arena, Mexico to have a really big tag match. So super excited for this one again, my friend. I believe this is on the start of the Cinderella tournament. So more than likely, these two wrestlers probably won't be in the Cinderella tournament. I think the Cindy starts on 3/6.
I think you're absolutely right. And to be fair, I don't think, especially the way they structured the tournament last year. Obviously, we don't know any announcements in terms of entrance or in terms of tournament structure, but I would have been incredibly surprised if these two had been in it with the focus on sort of rookies and lower mid-card wrestlers that they had last year, which I think worked, to be perfectly honest. And again, the announcement that we had with the white belt that's coming up has sort of stymied my thinking of who the potential winner might be, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on, Mr. Turner. Moving on then, let's start talking about some fallout from Supreme Fight. So obviously the pay-per-view aired on the 7th of February. And there's quite a lot of things that came out of this show. Again, if you haven't already seen the show, this is your time to pause it, go and watch the show and come back. But we're going to talk some of the fallout here in the news, and then we'll talk about the matches themselves in the actual show review. But the big thing to come out of the EXV versus Mavida Loca match was that EXV have officially disbanded. So it was alluded to heavily, Matt, in the build-up, that one of the units would dissolve if they lost. Now, that was then sort of quietened down, and there wasn't a lot of a mention of that. And then after the match, which Mavida Loca won, and we're going to be talking about that and a standout performance from Akira Kuragani, Micah basically said, it's time to let you guys go. It's time to let you guys, Hanako, Xena, Waka, Rian, do your own thing. Now, I would be amazed if we don't see at least one of these women join Mavida Loca, especially with Bozilla being out for the long time that she is. My betting is on Hanako. But especially with them referencing the fact that the name is Empress Nexus Venus, and the Venus is in reference to Mina Shirakawa, who doesn't even wrestle anymore for the company, I think it made sense for at least the faction under that name to be gone. Micah did actually put out a piece which I thought was quite nice, that she did actually ask permission from Mina Shirakawa to dissolve the faction before the pay-per-view. Before I throw to you, Matt, in regards to that, if you thought the right faction ended, all of those things, what's next for the people in this faction? Another big thing to come out of this match, and those people that are watching on YouTube will see that the image is Micah in a neck brace. There was a lot of concern for Micah following this match that she'd sustained quite a serious neck injury, especially with her having the neck brace on. She has released, or Stardom have released today on their official Twitter page, that Micah will still be wrestling on the 13th of February Corrigan Hall show. So great news there. Again, we don't quite know the extent of the damage done to the neck. Necks are horrible things that can play tricks on you. You know, I'm sure any wrestler's neck is full of gremlins. But it does sound like she is fit enough to wrestle at Corrigan Hall, which is obviously fantastic, Matt.
Yeah, the one thing with this picture is obviously Mike is in a neck brace. Again, for our fantastic YouTube watchers. But she's got a big smile on her face. So that was like the one thing I was like, well, you know, she's smiling. She's able to lift her arm up. So at least this way she definitely has some mobility, because they had to pretty much carry her out of the ring. And I don't know where it happened. I think it might have been the superplex. I mean, and it could just be accumulation of a whole bunch of the injuries, or like little bumps, and just one bump, she landed the wrong way. And it was a precaution. I mean, and we're going to get into the show. As great as the show was almost cursed. Because obviously, Saeed is going to be out for a little bit, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I think me and you've been making mention for the past 4 or 5 weeks that EXV with no Mina, it's ran its course. I think it's ran its cool name, and it was great when Mina was there. You had Mina teaming with Xena, and Mina and Micah were a great team, and they were, you know, in trio, doing the trio stuff, and Mina and Waka, because they had that Cosmic Angels connection. So it was all great. And then once Mina left, they still kind of had it. Once Mina left, and then Micah got injured. So like, oh geez. So it was
neither of them at that point.
No, and then Xena was injured right after that as well. Or no, Xena was still out. She got injured at last year's 5-star Grand Prix. That's right. So Xena was still out.
No, she got injured afterwards. I think it was October 24. Xena was out.
So it was after. So I understand why they didn't dissolve the faction just yet, because they were waiting for Micah to come back. This way she has a place to come back to. So it's like that I understand, because if they would dissolve EXV, then Micah comes back and she's kind of like, it's like that John Travolta meme where she's like, you know, where am I going? Where am I going? So I understood why they kept him there. Mike had that great pep talk, if you remember, right before Hanako, Rian, and Waka's challenge for the Artist of Stardom Championship. But yeah, I just think it was time. I think it's time for them to kind of move on and do something else. As far as where these wrestlers go, I agree. I think Hanako goes to Mi Vida Loca. I'd like to see Xena and Stars, especially now with Saida going to be on the shelf for a little bit. I think Xena would work really well teaming with B, teaming with Momo Kogo, teaming with Hanan, Uriah Himi. I think Xena and Stars would be really good. Waka, I know you're gonna laugh. I would like to see her back in Cosmic Angels and give that dance one more try, Rob.
Cosmic Angels don't dance anymore.
Yeah, you're
Just whack her on her own. Just whack her on her own.
And then we know what Rihan's doing. She's going to start her own faction, the Rionators. It's already in play.
Absolutely, it's there.
Go with it. The one thing I
doubt,
absolutely, the Rionators. Micah she's not going to be joining a faction. She's going to start her own. She's not unless they make her the leader of Stars, because she is, for lack of a better term, a big enough star. I just don't see her like falling in line with Hate or falling in line with Cosmic Angels.
Yeah, she's certainly not joining a pre, unless they do like they did with Mina Shirakawa, and her and Suzu split leadership of Mi Vida Loca potentially. But again, I love them as rivals. I don't want to see them in the same faction.
Not only that, but again, I love Micah, one of my favorite wrestlers, one of my favorite Stardom meet and greets, the 2 times we got to talk to her. But I think if you put Micah in Mi Vida Loca, it takes away some shine from Suzu, and I want all the shine to be on Suzu. I want to see Suzu get championship matches this year, red belt, white belt, so on and so forth. Again, I would love, Suzu's never challenged for that Wonder Belt. I would love to see Suzu challenge, whether it's Konami or Hanan or Heenan or Hazuki, never letting that one go. I think Suzu in a big Wonder of Stardom Championship match, I think would be great. And I think, again, if you put Mike in that faction, kind of takes away some of the spotlight from Suzu. So I think Suzu needs to be the lone leader. So, it's going to be interesting to see where Micah goes. Again, obviously the main thing coming off this match is we were all really scared when we saw this picture here, Mike in the neck brace. I'm like, that could be 6 months, it could be a year, but I didn't know until literally 10 minutes before we hit the record button. And Rob told me, like, no, they put something out today that she's fine. It was just for precaution. She's going to be on this Corkin show. I believe it is this Friday. Yeah, because Valentine's Day is the 14th.
Yeah.
This Friday. So, that's obviously the most important thing. So, again, it's going to be interesting to see where things go. Things shake up. Maybe Micah brings back the old DDM, Rob. I mean, you can't rule anything out. I mean, who knows what we'll see, but it's something that we'll all be waiting for. And it's going to be interesting to see where all the other members of these factions, all the other members of these wrestlers, to see what factions they go to.
I'm glad you've brought Stars up, because I feel like let's talk about this here, seeing as we're talking about faction movement. I feel like Stars has run its course, and with Sayuri now out, B Priestley on a part-time schedule between here and America, there's only 3 people in Stars, in Hanan, in Momokogo, and in Uriah Himi. I would be incredibly surprised, and this is something that Scotty Wrestling has brought up on Twitter before, that since Mayu left, Stars isn't Stars. As good as Hanan is, Stars is not Stars. So, and it's worth pointing out as well that Stars is the only road faction left. It's the only pre-Rossi Ogawa faction left as well. So do you want to phase that out to bring in something else for your main unit? Because Stars has always been that main unit, that sort of babyface unit, the Y Meet babyface unit. I like the idea of Micah being the leader of that. Sort of in, again, not drawing these parallels at all, but in the way that Tanahashi wasn't necessarily aligned to a faction, it was sort of Hontai. You could have Micah play that role. Obviously, you've got a bunch of unaffiliated wrestlers as well. You've got Hazuki, you've got Koguma, you've got, oh, for God's sake.
Who else do you have, Rob? For God's sake, who else do you have? Kikyo Furusawa, right?
You've got Kikyo Furusawa, you've got Emma Maishima, Matoi, you've got Ankanai. Stupid damn thing. So, yeah, obviously with Sayuri out with a hand injury, we don't know how long that's going to be for. So annoyed.
You folks, you should have seen him before we hit the record button. He was swearing up a storm. I'm like, if you want to swear, just make sure you put a disclaimer in the notes.
I hate this stupid goddamn team.
Stop watching.
I
I never
have done.
understood it. I don't
I have done.
understand why people get so upset over that's like I can't stand country music, so I'm gonna shut up Ozzy and Megadeth to listen to Kenny Chesney. No, I'm gonna listen to metal. I'm a metal guy.
Big
Anywho,
Kenny Chesney.
Continue, good sir.
Stars have been so short-staffed, if you want, so short of firepower for a long time, with Hana out injured, with Momokogo out injured, with Uriah Himi then out for a month or so with injury, and now Sayuri out with a hand injury, or getting a plate sorted into a hand. I don't know whether it's a plate that's already in her hand that she's having removed, or if she's having a plate put into her hand, because again, what you need is to give Sareee more weight in her hand to hit chops with. So good luck with that, guys. But I feel like a lot of movement is coming. A lot of movement, because you've got a lot of unaffiliated wrestlers. I feel like Ankanai is a shoe-in for Cosmic Angels. I feel like Hazuki and Koguma will join forces with Micah because of the Fukuoka connection. I know Maki Ito is also from Fukuoka as well. So when they put Maki Ito in there as well, I don't know.
Maki Ito and Micah.
In my opinion, Maki Ito does not need a faction. Just leave her on her own. Like, she doesn't need that. She's entertaining. She bounces off other factions. And I think part of her charm is the fact that she has different chemistry with each of the different wrestlers. So just don't stick her with a faction. I think Hanako goes to Mi Vida Loca. Like I say, I think they dissolve Stars or rebrand Stars or whatever. And I think they start absorbing. I think Matoya Hamabe will probably be part of that main faction as well, whatever that main faction might be. But I would be surprised if we reach the 5-star this year and Stars is still Stars.
Yeah, we'll find out. It's definitely really interesting to see where it shakes up. And Neo Genesis is a little, I think someone, maybe Emma, might go to Neo Genesis. I know Matoy was supposed to be targeted. It looked like she was going to go to Neo Genesis. Then she came down with a knee injury. So there's a couple things to throw in there as well. It's going to be really interesting to see, the really big shakeups that's happening. Just the only thing I ask is no random members going to hate. And
hate do not need any more members.
In God's Eye as well. I think they're good.
Yeah, God's Eye are ridiculously OP, especially when you remember that Nanami Hatano is technically a satellite member of God's Eye as well.
Right.
So they have even more. Yeah, we're going to talk about her in the New Blood shows. Moving on then from faction upheaval to the Red Belt picture. Obviously, those of you who are still watching us will know that Sayaka Kurara did retain against Starlight Kid despite her fingers giving out on her. And we'll talk about that later. But the next challenger that came out was Sayaka Kurara. Now, this was interesting for a number of reasons. Obviously, this will be the first person the first person that she's wrestled twice for the Red Belt, because the first TAM match wasn't for the Red Belt, was it? Was that just a loser leave Stardom match? That wasn't for the title.
Which I wish it was, because if you were to add that match to her title reign, I mean, just think how just insane the Red Belt reign is now. And then if you add that to it, but yeah, it was just for the loser leave Stardom.
Yeah, it was. You're right. So Sayaka Kurara is the first two-time challenger of Sayaka Kurara. Obviously, she comes out of that 6-woman at the start of the show, having not only lost, but having eaten the pin. They are clearly building something here with Sayaka Kurara, especially as Sayaka Kurara basically went, "Are you joking?" No, absolutely not. Look at what Starlight Kid's just done. Her I'll have another match with. Are you joking? No, get to the back of the line. So they are clearly building something there. It wouldn't surprise me if they run Sayaka Kurara versus Sayaka Kurara at the Cinderella final, because obviously, there's history there with Sayaka Kurara winning the tournament, cashing in that wish last year for a match with Sayaka Kurara. There's been a lot of rumblings of TAM. I swear this TAM thing just won't go away. It's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, but it also won't go away. Do you feel like it was a little bit anticlimactic that Sayaka Kurara was the next one to challenge when you look at who hasn't challenged, or you look at people that could potentially challenge again before Sayaka Kurara, especially and we've talked about this since that challenge? She's done good bits, like she had a good 5-star Grand Prix, obviously won the Tag League. But in terms of singles, there's not been a lot for Sayaka Kurara. It's all been tag stuff. So for her to sort of interject herself into the title picture, a title picture that she doesn't belong in, I think both of us can agree on that, certainly on current form. It feels like there's something wider going on here. It would be very strange if they just have Sayaka Kurara challenge here. Saya Kamatani say no. We'll see Saya Kamatani say yes at some point. There will be some stipulation put in. I saw someone say maybe they'll get her to join Hate. No. Stop it with random defections to Hate. There'll be some sort of stipulation involved, I imagine. I just don't know if I'm ready for another Sayaka Kurara and Saya Kamatani match.
A lot of things to unpack. Maybe great idea, them wrestling in the Cinderella finals, considering both these wrestlers have won the Cinderella tournament before.
They have.
Obviously, Sayaka Kurara won 2025, Kamatani in 2021. It's a possibility there. Maybe Sayaka Kurara wins the Cinderella tournament again, builds herself up even more momentum, and then challenges Saya Kamatani again. That's a route that they can go, Rob, considering both our pre-tournament favorite may not be in the tournament now, and we'll get into that. Another thing they can do is, Teru Okada is dead set on trying to get 10,000 people in Yokohama. Considering the fact of how massive and how great last year's All-Star Grand Queendom was, you don't have Mayu, you don't have Tam either. So what is one thing you might be able to do? And I was kind of thinking of this is maybe they're going to give Kamatani a few more wins. This way she's tied with Io going into Yokohama. So then it's like that's a reason to buy a ticket or buy a pay-per-view and they can keep bringing up Io's name. Hey, Io, 14 defenses with his belt. Kamatani's tied. Obviously, Io is a massive star for WWE. WrestleMania is going to be the week before, which I'm assuming Io is probably going to have a match in. That was one thing that I was thinking. And then Sayaka Kurara comes out. So maybe it's just like Saya Kamatani will have a couple quick kind of, lack of a better term, filler defenses. They'll be great matches, but it basically kind of almost stack her to get to the V13 or the V14 going into Yokohama going into Yokohama for All-Star Grand Queendom. Yeah, I don't know. They obviously did this at the end of the show for a reason. Is she going to challenge? Is she going to build herself up to challenge? Is she going to win the Cinderella tournament again? Definitely more on that because you're absolutely right. Sayaka Kurara, great tag wrestler. She's a great singles wrestler, but not having a lot of wins. But she's somebody that is massively over. And if they run this back in one of those many Cork and Hall shows they have between now and the end of April, I wouldn't be shocked if it does another 1,500. But this is one that we were kind of scratching our heads and been like, all right, let's see how this goes. Let's wait to see how the journey plays out before we kind of jump down Teru Okada's throat here. So interested to see what happens. They have great chemistry. There's something there between the two of them. Again, I just happened to review their match just a few days prior to the pay-per-view back from Cork and Hall. Absolutely loved it. Still to this day, I think Sayaka Kurara's best performance. So why not give it a shot and run it back again at a Cork and Hall? So yeah, we'll definitely see how it plays out.
Yeah, again, whereas you see the Starlight Kid match and you feel like, oh, that's a dream match. We've seen.
Oh, so excited.
There's history, there's excitement there because you know what the two are capable of. Yes, there's history there, absolutely, like Starlight Kid being the first person to be hit with the Star Crusher and, subtle things like that. The Sayaka Kurara thing, I think, is purely storyline. Of course, they'll have a good match. Everyone in Stardom is a good wrestler. I feel like that's a baseline at the moment. Even the rookies that are coming in at the moment are good wrestlers. The threshold for rookies is just absolutely insane
just
when you look at Joshi across the board. But this, I feel like this is a storyline reason, especially as we are getting towards All-Star Grand Queendom. I feel like there's something there. Again, thank God Mike is fine because I still think that will ultimately be the direction they go for All-Star Grand Queendom. But this is an interesting one. Again, I don't think they've thrown Sayaka Kurara into the mix here, having just lost earlier in the pay-per-view, that same pay-per-view, ironically, to the person that challenged for the white belt. I don't think they've just thrown her into a match here because they've just gone, right, she's done everyone, let's go round again. Okay, because there's loads of different people you could have gone for instead. I mean, Hannon, for a start.
Yeah,
You know,
poi,
so
poi. Aya
yeah,
Sakura, she's gonna go
I
that route as well. Yeah.
yeah, if you want to see Sayaka Kurara run through Cosmic Angels, Aya Sakura is obviously the next logistical one. Obviously, you've got the history with Hanan, which makes sense. So yeah, I think there's a reason they've chosen Sayaka Kurara here. Well, we'll see. Speaking of the white belt, now this I am very excited about. Konami did retain the Wonder of Stardom Championship against Ami Sourei in the semi-main event, and that brought out her God's Eye compatriot in Hina, who will be the next challenger for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. I saw her come out, Matt. I've never been happier. I genuinely think, even though I do think it'll be Konami and Hanan at All-Star Grand Queen, especially as by that point Konami will have run through the sisters. It just makes sense now. I must admit, I was even happier when Hina came out, because we've done nothing but praise Hina, the work she's done, how fast she's developing, that the confidence, the clear confidence that she had from that Future of Stardom run. Hell yeah, give her a chance. We've seen what sort of throwing people into the deep end and saying, right, go on, there's your opportunity, see what you can do. We've just spoken about Sayaka Kurara in the main event of Korakuen Hall for the World of Stardom Championship, and she did a great job. Hina will do a tremendous job against Konami. Don't think she wins it. Don't think she should win it, but a great opportunity for someone who has been very, very, very impressive over the last probably 6 to 7 months.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying the Stardom booking, Teru Okada's booking. And this was one of the main things we've been made mention the last few months, that like Hina's doing great. Like the aura, the promos in the ring, the backstage promos, your in-ring work is really, really leveled up over these last few months. And then we mentioned last week, she had a clean pin over Soriano on the last Korakuen show. Like clearly they're setting something up. She gets the win to start off the pay-per-view. We'll get into it in a little bit, partner. And then she challenges Konami. I think this is going to be a great, great challenge for Hina. Again, my guess it's going to be on maybe one of those Cinderella nights or maybe one of the Korakuen Hall shows leading up to it. Either one will be good. This is going to be great because this will be Hina's biggest match of her career. And Konami's putting on the best performances in her career, which is saying something because Konami's been a really, really next level competitor the last 7 or 8 years. And I know she took about a year or so off at the end of 2021, but she's doing the best work of her career. And this is a simple story to tell. You have the pure white meat babyface and the heel that has no problem bending and breaking the rules in order to get a win. It's an easy person to cheer, an easy person to boo. People will pay money to see Konami lose and to see Hina win. I agree. I don't think they switched the belt here, but it would be something. It would be something to do something shocking. Like it looks like that Konami's going to put Hina away, and then all of a sudden Hina gets the ghetto clutch. Like that's something that you can do something like that and really kind of do some shock value in. But this one I'm really, really excited for. And again, this pay-per-view really set up the direction that they're going towards the Cinderella tournament, and then the Cinderella tournament leads into All-Star Grand Queendom. So all systems go for Stardom, especially when it comes to the championships, because now we're really starting to load up the deck for all of the champions.
We also, and this I know makes you happy, Matt, it makes me happy too, we have a brand new challenger for the High Speed Championship. As well, the opening match saw Momo Kogo get the pin over Yuna Mizumori. And seemingly, though it hasn't been made official yet, none of these challenges, by the way, are official yet because no match graphics, therefore not official. However, it became very obvious when Yuna Mizumori held the belt up in the face of Momo Kogo and Momo Kogo held the belt, that was the direction we are going. Again, since the graduation of May Sarah from the high speed division, I don't think May Sarah needs to challenge again ever. You need to blood a new crop of high speed wrestlers. And I think Momo Kogo, she's done it before. She's wrestled that style before. She's got great chemistry with Yuna Mizumori. And hell, she deserved it. She's earned that opportunity again. And to see them wrestle again, that's going to be really, really good. And again, this could quite easily be a Korakuen Hall main event. And people will be happy with that. Yuna's massively over in Korakuen Hall. Momo Kogo's over with everyone. Metal Momo Kogo.
Metal Momo Kogo. I think they teased something on social media today that this is going to be on this weekend's Korakuen show. I know they were kind of going back and forth. I don't think they made the card official, which they probably will, probably tonight or tomorrow, because I mean, that Corkin show's on Friday, and as we're recording, it's Tuesday. So I wouldn't be shocked if this is on this weekend's Corkin show, because you're going to need some firepower on that show, like a championship match. But yeah, this will be great. And this will be one that, again, I don't think Sayaka Kurara has beaten Sayaka Kamatani. Could be wrong. I don't think Hina's beaten Konami. Could be wrong. I wouldn't be shocked if Momo Kogo gets the win here. They did a great job after Yuna won the high-speed championship from Mei Seira back at the end of December, setting up like 7 or 8 challengers for the high-speed division. I'm like, you can flip this belt a few times. Again, this isn't the red belt or this isn't the white belt. Like, this is a belt that you can kind of flip back and forth over the next few months. Like, maybe Momo Kogo wins it, and then maybe Yuna wins it back in the summer, and then maybe it goes to an Emma. Like, this is something that you really can have 6 or 7 wrestlers chasing for over the next year and a half, and it gives that mid card something to do and make it exciting. Excited for this challenge. Excited for Momo Kogo to get another shot at the high speed championship. And I like her odds here. I think she's got better odds at beating Yuna Mizumori here in 2026 than she did with one Azumi back in 2022. But yeah, super excited to look for this one. Watch this one. And again, maybe this one does take place this Friday, the day before Valentine's Day, Rob Goodwin, the most romantic day of the year.
Absolutely. We also have a brand new pay-per-view, as I mentioned, to the Stardom canon. The 23rd of May, which will be a Saturday, we'll see Stardom run Queen's Destiny in the Toyota Gosai Memorial Gymnasium in Aichi. So again, that seems to have replaced Flashing Champions, which has been sort of the May pay-per-view for the last couple of years. It looks like Queen's Dynasty or Queen's Dynasty or whatever it is, however it is you pronounce it, that will be taking up the calendar, at least for this year anyway. So that was announced during the pay-per-view as well, Matt. Not a great deal to say with that, just a little bit of a cheeky announcement.
No, really cool. Again, obviously we have Ozfest coming back next year, and Queen's Quest coming back just 4 days after my birthday. I mean, clearly it's right here. My birthday's on the 19th. This is just a few days after. Obviously, this is the return of Queen's Quest. It's probably going to be Momo Watanabe, Micah, and former Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax. That is probably going to be my pick. Yes, thank you. Good night. I'll see you guys later.
The amount of people who've just turned off this podcast because of you saying that.
By turned off, you mean, and did a dance and they're going to turn it back on. No, this is really interesting. Obviously, I'm going to toot this horn that this is the return of Queen's Quest. They're coming back up until the day of and during the pay-per-view. So that's what I'm throwing out there. They put it in May. The return of Queen's Quest. Let's go, buddy. Let's go. Bow down to the queens.
Let's start talking then about our pay-per-views, or our show reviews, should I say. We're going to start with New Blood 28, which aired live and free on YouTube back on the 3rd of February. It was main evented by the 6th New Blood Tag Team Champions, Sayaka Kurara, defending their belt for the first time, having held it for 96 days. The show itself was from Tokyo Square in Itabashi in Tokyo, with a sellout attendance, apparently, of 153 people. Now, though this is a 39.76% decrease from the previous New Blood event, which was New Blood 27 on Christmas Eve in Bell Sal Shibuya First, it is the same attendance as the previous event at the venue, which was back at New Blood 23, with this making it 3 consecutive sellouts of 153 people at Tokyo Square in Itabashi. Just a couple more interesting tidbits before we get into the results. This challenge will mark Ann Kanai's first challenge for a title since her debut, which was back in March of 2025, whilst this will be high-speed champion Yuna Mizumori's second challenge for the New Blood tag titles, having previously failed against Rice or Bread in March of 2025, alongside Aya Sakura, who is now champion. It will also mark the Stardom debuts of the Hot Shushu sisters, Moe and Masahiro, who we'll be talking about in a moment. Let's run through these results then. So Hina defeated Kikyo Furusawa with an STF in 10 minutes and 59 seconds. In a 3-way match, Azusa Inaba defeated Kyoka Katatsu and Uriah Hime, with Azusa Inaba submitting Uriah Hime with a bubble killer number 2 in 5 minutes and 50 seconds. In a tag team match, the God's Eye team of Ronnie Agami and Tomoka Inaba defeated those hot Shushu sisters, Moehiro and Masahiro, with Ronnie Agami submitting Masahiro with the inverted cross arm breaker in 14 minutes and 28 seconds. Tag team match, the EXV team of Hanako and Rian went to a 15-minute time limit draw against the Diana duo of Nanami Hatano and Miran. In your semi-main event, Xena defeated Akira Kuragani with Thunderstruck in 8 minutes and 1 second. Great move. And finally, the New Blood Tag Team Championship match main event. Sayaka Kurara, Isakura, and Sayaka Kurara, the champions, did defeat Yuna Mizumori and Ann Kanai, with Isakura hitting the Blooming Dream on Ann Kanai in 15 minutes and 28 seconds. So, Matt, obviously, we've got a lot to talk about with the pay-per-view. The New Blood events will probably whip through relatively sharpish, but let's go through them match by match nevertheless. Hina and Kikyo Furusawa.
Really good way to start the show. Again, obviously, we know big things are in line for Hina, so it's nice having her in the first match. Kikyo Furusawa is another one ever improving. She is going to be probably, along with FWC, the hottest free agent as far as who's going to get this person to get their factions. Again, we mentioned a little bit ago, there's going to be a lot of faction shakeup coming on soon. But I think Kikyo Furusawa is somebody that every faction would want. Great stuff. Hina leading this match. Kikyo Furusawa by no means needed to be carried. She kept up with the young sister that is Hina. Really terrific way to start off the show, with Hina getting the win with the STF, which I did make mention during the 5-star Grand Prix. She needs to win more matches with this, and she almost got into like a different version. Almost was like she started with like an Indian deathlock and then rolled Kikyo over into the step over and the crossface. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Let her do that version more often. Let her get more wins like that. All for it. 3.5 stars. Again, you always want to start your matches off with a hot. You always want to start your shows off with a hot opener, and this was a really hot opener. This was great.
3-way match, Azusa Inaba picking up the victory over Yuri Ahimi, who had a fairly torrid time of eating pinfalls over the course of these 3 shows. But again, a really good introduction again to Kyoko Katatsu, who I do really enjoy watching and wish was actually on more Stardom shows, to be fair.
I'm a massive fan of her, even though whoever did these graphics, they make her look like she's as tall as that 8-year-old we're going to talk about. She looks really
genuinely small. The ratioing in some of these images is mad, because look how big Azusa Inaba looks in comparison to Kyoko Katatsu.
I actually enjoy it because it makes for really quick banter on the show, buddy. It's almost like comical. I may mention this a couple times before, whenever we see God's Eye versus Hate on these multi-person tag matches, that whenever they have Kikyo and Azusa in the matches, it's great, hard-hitting striking. And that's what this was. You're tying in with Uriah Hime. My only complaint with this, it went a little under 6 minutes. I wish it would have got a little bit more time, because this was really good. Azusa Inaba is another one they can add to the high-speed division, because she works that style pretty good, and she's almost like high-speed violence. So again, Uriah Hime, I thought was great. Give me more Azusa versus Kikyo Katatsu. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. 3.5 stars for me, good sir. Again, I just wish it would have got about 2 or 3 more minutes to tell their story.
And then we have this match. Matt, you last week, because again, this aired as we were recording last week, you were very excited to talk about the debut of the Hot Shushu sisters. Now, I believe, and again, I'm just going to get our Patreon up, because friend of the show, Brandon Teal, I'm sure, said the youngest sister, unless I'm very much mistaken, is 8 years old.
I remember last week, because you didn't see it, and I watched the first 3 matches on my lunch break, and that's when I told you, I said, Tomoka Inaba takes the youngest one, and it looks like this one's not going to see daylight tomorrow. And then you said, well, yeah, 14 years old. And I'm like, she didn't look 14. I thought she looked like 10 or 11. And then I think it was Brandon sent a message to no, the other sister's 14. The younger one is 8 or 9. And
that's like, what, yeah, I'm just having a look at the Brandon Teal comment on our Patreon now.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Brandon. Older one is 14. The younger one, from what he's read, is 8 to 9 years old. Now, again, it is worth pointing out that we've seen this before. Okay, we have seen really young Stardom wrestlers, Hina, Rina, Azumi, all being young. 8 years old or 9 years old seems desperately young to be. So even, I don't know, is it too young? Am I just being overprotective potentially?
No, me and Andy Header have had this conversation off and on air and on road trips for years because I turned pro at 20 and I think he was 21 or 22. We're the same age, but I think I have a year or two on him as far as in ring experience. But he's got 100 more matches than me because he wrestles every weekend. But we made mention like if you were able to turn pro younger, would you? I was like, wouldn't it be as young as we see like some people in Mexico, some of the luchadors in Mexico, and some of these Joshis. I think that like 14 would be the youngest. But I think you should be able to train. Like if you want to train at age 10 or age 11, just to kind of get the calisthenics down and like the breathing down and stuff like that, and kind of some of the psychology. Like I got no problem with these wrestlers training at like age 10 or 11, but I don't think they should debut until they're like at least 14. Again, that's just me. Regardless, they made this work. You have two killers in Tomoka Inaba and Rana. And as I said last week, partner, when Tomoka gets that younger one, the 8 or 9-year-old snaps her over, like, oh no, and instantly becomes like the biggest heel. And even in the next New Blood show, we'll talk about
With Aya and Sayaka,
yeah, they were huge heels anytime they did something to these two. These two sisters are going to have a bright future in pro wrestling. Again, 14 and 8 years old, and again, look who they're wrestling: Tomoka Inaba and Rana Yagami. Put them on the New Blood shows. They're going to get. They got a lot of exposure here. You'll probably see them in some of the other Joshi companies these next few years, but we probably could be looking at the future of what it could be Joshi Pro Wrestling, where they go to Marigold, Tokyo Joshi Pro, Stardom in the next handful of years. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. Again, I was scared to death for that young one, but ultimately just really, really fun stuff. 3.25 stars for me, good sir.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate, isn't it? How young is too young? Especially as we've, even on this show, we're going to be talking about how wrestling is not ballet. Obviously, Micah leaving the ring in a neck brace, Saya Kamatani having to have the match stopped at one point. But yes, I think obviously with wrestling, and again, Mike, you can speak far more to this than I can. There's a level of trust, and I think you have to trust the people in the ring. And obviously, Rana and Tomoka did a great job. Obviously, there was quite a sadistic smile spreading across the lips of one Tomoka Inaba, which was absolutely frightening. But again, you've got to sort of put a trust in there, and clearly, it is believed that she is okay to be in the ring, and therefore whether they tailor the offense to make sure she is okay, I imagine that's probably what they do. Obviously, you're not going to have anyone hitting her with a top rope turnbuckle driver or whatever it is that Kyle Fletcher hits people with. Can't see people hitting her with that. But again, it's about working with who you've got in the ring.
Yeah, the number one rule when you go into any wrestling school or you go to any show is you protect the opponent. So obviously they're not gonna be like, oh, we're just gonna have Tomoka and batter this 8-year-old girl. It's like no, and they made it look like that was gonna happen to get the reaction out of the crowd that they did. And obviously Tomoka is a pro, so is Ronnie Yagami. But that's the number one thing is it's a dance. You're working together. And yeah, Tomoka and Rana, they were absolute pros in this match.
Moving on then, Rian and Hanako going to a time limit draw against Nanami Hatano. Pardon me, hiccups. And Miran. Were you surprised that this was the one that went to the time limit draw? And secondly, how impressed were you with Nanami?
Nanami was great. She was almost Go ahead.
Go on. I was going to say she was the standout of the two shows, but I think I might have been exactly what you were going to say, which is what
the MVP. Yeah, the usual. It half a world away, brother. Yeah, obviously, Rihanna and Hanako, they were great. They had that little mini feud as Rihanna was kind of building herself up to challenge Hanako for the future of Stardom Championship. And obviously now they're back on the same page. Now they might not be in the same faction, or they won't be in the same faction anymore. Regardless, this was great. This was one of my favorite matches of these two shows. Again, we've seen a little bit of Nanami over the last few years, her being a satellite member to God's Eye, but Moran was fantastic. They did a great job highlighting her. She had a great base in Hanako. It's one thing to be able to do that flashy offense, but you need that really good base in order to showcase that offense. Hashtag watch every Claudio Castagnoli match because he's the greatest base in the history of pro wrestling. It's why they always send him over to CMLL because he does so well with those luchadors. Hanako did a great job here. Obviously, Stone Cold Rion was massively over as well. This was great, and I enjoyed this one going 15 minutes. You're taking a chance on this show having two of your younger wrestlers and Stone Cold Rihanna and Hanako taking on a team we really don't see in Stardom here that much. Really, I don't think we've ever seen them on these New Blood shows as just a proper tag team. And like, hey, give them 15 minutes. Let's see what they can do. And I thought they hit it out of the park. I thought this was really great. I at 3 3/4 stars. Good sir.
Moving on to a singles match. And I'm just going to talk about this now in terms of Akira Kuragani. I felt it was really good booking to have Akira Kuragani lose two singles matches to members of EXV just before the pay-per-view, where you had EXV versus Movida Loca and had Akira Kuragani in the main event. Because again, it's obviously a very simple booking strategy, but again, you're subverting that expectation. The moment you see Akira Kuragane in that main event, in the main portion of that main event in the pay-per-view, you're expecting her to lose because you see her lose to Xena here in a great match, but you see her lose to Xena here. You then see her lose to Hanako on the next show as well. And I thought it was a really good little piece of booking because, again, on its own, it was a good match and Xena just gets the win. On the next show, it's a good match. Hanako just gets the win. But when you put that together with how the show on Saturday panned out, the pay-per-view and their match in particular, I thought it all worked in really, really well.
Yeah, and this was and he had the promos afterwards where they were kind of like rubbing in Akira's face. And then on the big show, she's the one that sends it back. Like, you rubbed it in my face, you fired me up. I was the sole survivor in that big match that eventually then Mike has, set everybody free, which again we'll get into a little bit. This match, 8 minutes, I thought was the proper time. It was almost like 3-act match. You had your chain wrestling to start, great stuff back and forth. Then it broke down into the chops and forearms and kicks kind of in the middle. Then towards the end, you ramped up with your big falsies, but eventually just Xena just overpowered Akira, with the big chops, the big lariats, and then is able to open up the door for the Thunderstruck. 3.5 stars. Yeah, totally agree with you. It was really cool how they made this part of the story. It's just like Akira loses, they rub it in her face. Akira loses, they rub it in her face. Then Akira gets the biggest win of her career on a jam-packed pay-per-view. Really great storytelling. And again, Akira is another one that they're just starting to, gas up now. It's not just Sayaka Kamatani or Starlight Kid or Konami or Izumi or whatever. They're doing a great job booking some of this underneath talent to really, really pump them up. And Akira was, almost like the project on the pay-per-view. And this was a good, basically precursor to the pay-per-view that added to Akira's story. Again, 3.5 stars for me, my friend.
Main event, New Blood tag team titles on the line. Sayaka Kurara picking up where they left off with the tag league and putting on a great display of tag team wrestling. I enjoyed the little exchanges, especially between Aya Sakura and Ann Kanai, who I've been really, really impressed with since she's come back from injury. We were singing the praises of Ann when she debuted, and again, that threshold of Joshi rookies. But here, I thought she melded really well with three members of Cosmic Angels, which is why I mentioned earlier she's such a good fit for that group. But I thought her stuff, especially with Aya Sakura, was really, really good.
Yeah, they did a great job making Yuna look good. She basically comes in, especially towards the end, and just overpowers the New Blood Tag Champs. And obviously, again, Yuna obviously has a lot of chemistry with Aya and Sayaka, especially Aya. They were in the tag league back in 2024 as part of Sakura Demon and almost stole the show, like the whole show. Like, we were just so impressed how great their matches were. But obviously, the big tag team now and probably going forward in the next few months for Stardom is Sayaka Kurara and Aya Sakura. You're absolutely right. Ann Kanai was great here. They did a great job making her look really good in the beginning. Again, she's another one that I think could fit in very well with a high-speed style. Great teamwork from Aya and Sayaka. Then Yuna comes in. She's the hammer, but then does it with some flashes of her high-speed wrestling as well. Again, she's the current high-speed champion. And then as you're getting towards the end of the match, it just breaks down into who's the better tag team, which is what I love about tag team wrestling, especially in main events on shows. It all comes down to who's the better tag team. It's a tag match. It's part of the gimmick. You have to use the gimmick. Imagine having a ladder match and you don't use the ladder at all. Like, what was that all about? Tag team wrestling is all about using the teamwork to get the win. That's what happened towards the end. However, there's a couple spots here where Ann Kanai almost steals one here on one Aya Sakura. They get towards the end here where you're getting the great teamwork. Sayaka hits the big dive to take Yuna out. And like, okay, Yuna is not here to make the save for Ann, which is what they kind of built up towards the end. Aya is going to put Ann away. Aya goes for the buzzsaw kick and ducks and rolls up Aya and this sold out crowd bit on the finish. They did a great job blurring the lines, at least for half a second, that we would see new tag champs. However, it was eventually the Blooming Dream that puts away one young Ankanai for the 3 count. I thought this was really, really great match to end this show. 4.25 stars for me.
And of course, we rolled on to New Blood 29, which was the very following night on the 4th of February, again live on YouTube and again in Tokyo Square in Itabashi. And again, the attendance was 153, which again, Stardom announced as a sellout, making that the 4th consecutive New Blood event at Tokyo Square in Itabashi to sell out at 153 people. A significantly shorter event. At least it felt that way. Obviously, one match less, but it seemed that the runtime was shorter as well. Tag team match was the opener. Sayaka Kurara, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurara defeated the Hero sisters, Moe Hero and Mase Hero, with Sayaka Kurara pinning Moe Hero with the Tokamaki Spear in 14 minutes and 7 seconds. A long amount of time they got in that match. Tag match, God's Eye, Hina and Kyoka Katatsu defeated Azusa Inaba and Kikyo Furusawa, with Kyoka Katatsu submitting Kikyo Furusawa with an Achilles lock in 10 minutes and 11 seconds. Singles match, Xena defeated Rian with the Thunder Roll in 11 minutes and 54 seconds. Semi-main event, 6-woman tag team action. God's Eye, Tomoka Inaba, Rani Yagami, and Nanami Hatano defeated Uriah Hime, Ankanai, and Miran, with Nanami pinning Uriah Hime with a diving body press in 13 minutes and 38 seconds. And then finally, singles match in your main event, Hanako defeating Akira Kuragani with the JP coaster in 13 minutes and 17 seconds. We start with that tag team match. Again, one that got a long time as well, with the New Blood Tag Team Champions taking on Moe and Masahiro in non-title action. Matt, I imagine similar vein to what we talked about with Ronnie Yagami and Tomoka taking on the two sisters, but another good performance from the pair.
Yeah, and as hard hitting as Aya and Sayaka are, I wasn't as fearful of the life of these two sisters as it was against Rana and Tomoka. This is really fun, especially you know what you're getting into. You watch the show from the day before, so you know this is going to be a fun one. And obviously, Aya and Sayaka are massively over as baby faces in every show they've ever been on in the last 2.5 years, but they were booed out of the building here for borderline child abuse. But they made it work. They made it work with great crowd psychology, and they reacted real well. Again, considering Aya and Sayaka, only been wrestling, 2.5 years, 3 years, something like that. And they don't know how, you don't know how to react when you've never been booed before, and you're getting booed out of this building because of how young these other two wrestlers are, and they kind of made it work to their advantage. A really fun open. You're absolutely right. These two young sisters got a lot of time on these shows, combined time of around 30 minutes. So again, it really looks like that they're going to be doing something with them on these New Blood shows, and definitely a team to look out for over the next 10 to 15 years. Then when they're in their 20s, when they're wrestling, 3.25 stars for me. This is a really fun one to start off this show.
Tag team action, Kyoka Katatsu getting a rare victory in Stardom. But again, I'm drawn to Kikyo Furusawa, who again has such a distinctive look for a rookie and someone who has a very distinctive style as well. I think she really stands out in terms of the rookies. She's someone who, again, we didn't really talk about in terms of faction movement. Where would you like to see Kikyo fall when we do get this inevitable sort of faction shakeup?
Great question, buddy. Because again, Stardom on the Stardom World shows and on kind of the middle of the road Cork and Hall show, like the mid card, the undercard, they love to have their tag matches or 6-person matches or 8-person matches with factions, and you don't know if Kikyo is going to work well with a Hanan constantly teaming up with, or constantly teaming up with a Micah or a Rian. So it's interesting to see where she goes. I mean, again, depends on the whole shakeup with the factions. Again, Stars needs power. They need some more members. She teams really well at Maki Ito, but we don't know what's going on, if they're going to do like the Ito Respect Army like they did in Tokyo Joshi Pro and on the Indies for Maki Ito. That's a great question, partner. I would like to see her go with a team led by Micah. I think her and Micah would work really well together. Again, I'd like to see her in her faction soon, so this way she can start gelling with some of her faction members in either tag matches, 6-person, 8-person, what have you. As far as this match goes, I thought this was great. I mentioned before, Kyoko Tatsu and Azusa Inaba, they just work real well together. The strike exchanges, the counter striking, I'm a big fan of that. Hina and Azusa, we didn't get as much as I would like, but that's where the money was for me in this match. Again, Kikyo Furusawa was terrific. Her and Kyoko Katatsu, their sequences toward the end, I really enjoyed with the knee bar counters. Eventually, though, it is Kikyo Katatsu getting a win here with the ankle lock into the knee bar. 3.5 stars for me.
Xena versus Rian then, as we continue these random little singles matches leading up to the pay-per-view, which I really liked, that link into the big show coming up. And I actually said when we were talking about the Korakuen Hall show last week, I wish we'd seen more of this on the Korakuen Hall show as opposed to just doing the elimination tag that we did. Again, I know that obviously Xena and Rian are in the same faction, fully aware of that, but it's building up Rian ahead of that main event section with Akira Kuragane, Matt.
This is my favorite match from the show. I thought this was great. This is really good. You have Xena overpowering her fellow stablemate, well, at least during this show, in the beginning of the match. And then Rian hits she's able to get just a little bit of a window. We've seen it in the 5-star matches with the Zumi and Tomoka Inaba and with Starlight Kid. Well, she just needs a little bit of a window to get the advantage, and she hits a twist of fate into the ropes. Xena then sells to the outside to kind of catch her breath. And then Rian stomps on Xena's hand while it's on the apron, the way that Xena sold it. And again, you're right there in the front. And again, there's only 153 people, so it's a smaller venue. So the way that Xena emotes it, she's like, like it's selling the hand where everybody in the arena can see it. And then it's getting Rian over, and everybody loves Stone Cold Rian. So I absolutely love that. Great back and forth between the two. Again, Xena then tries to use the hand for the chop. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it doesn't. She does a great job selling the chop and then fighting through the pain, which I thought was great. Some really great stuff towards the end of the match with Rian hitting an apron Rana to the floor. Like these two were just pulling out all the stops here. Really great stuff. We get a chop exchange between the two because Rian was like, I don't care how hard you hit. I'm Stone Cold Rian, and I'm going to have my own faction, the Rianators. I thoroughly enjoyed that. But eventually, though, Xena hits a Northern Light suplex into a butterfly suplex and then is able to get a leg cradle capture pin for the 3 count. 12 minutes, I didn't think this match would go over 10 minutes. The fact they gave it time really goes to show you what great chemistry these two have, not only as teammates, but across the ring from each other. And again, with now EXV dissolving, we're going to be able to see these two wrestle on opposite sides more often because I thought these two were great. 4 stars for me, partner. Again, my favorite match from this show.
The very impressive Nanami getting another pinfall over Uriah Himi, which again makes for very interesting sort of wrestling moving forward, considering Uriah Himi was in that glut of wrestlers challenging for the Future of Stardom Championship at the end of the show. Again, Nanami fitting in really, really well with her God's Eye compatriots, considering we don't see a great deal of her due to her commitment in Diana.
Yeah, Uriah Himi, it just really seems like baptism by fire in matches she's been having lately with Syuri, Yuzuki Ayakawa, and then she comes in like, I'm just going to kick Tomoka Inaba right in the face. And eventually you know what's going to happen. It's like Tomoka's just like, I tried to hurt somebody the day before and I couldn't do it. But now I'm going to take everything out on poor Uriah Himi. And Uriah Himi, I think you're going to see moving along. She's going to be able, like that Natsupoi character, where she's underneath getting her butt kicked, but able to have really great fire. Ultimately, it's going to get the crowd to rally behind her. We're seeing a little bit of that now. That's kind of Natsupoi's bread and butter when Natsupoi's wrestling the Shuris and the Momo Watanabes and so on and so forth. We're seeing that now with Uriah Himi. We saw it at the beginning of this match with Tomoka Inaba. And Kanai, again, she was terrific here. Some great stuff with Moran and Tomoka Inaba as well. Not as much as I would like, but I think if they want to do that somewhere, that'd be a really great match. But yeah, it would just really seem like it was just the tag team chemistry of Rana and Tomoka Inaba. Again, we've seen them tag up quite a bit. And then you're adding in their satellite net member of Nanami that was able to do in this duo of Ankanai, Uriah Himi, and one Moran. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. 3 3/4 stars for me. Again, 14 minutes. I thought was enough time to tell the story. But I'm really big on this tag team of Tomoka and Rana. If they don't do something with Hina, I would like to see Tomoka and Rana maybe make a challenge for those Goddess of Stardom tag belts somewhere in 2026. I have a feeling that maybe Starbomb might be the next team to take those titles. I'd love to see a Starbomb versus Tomoka versus Rana match. I think that match might be slightly above average, Rob.
Which team do you prefer, Tomoka and Hina or Tomoka and Rana?
Ooh, heads you wins, tails you win. You know, it's maybe Tomoka and Hina, because Hina does more of the judo and Tomoka does more of the striking.
Two very contrasting styles, whereas Tomoka and Hina and Rana are quite similar.
Yeah, very good. Exactly what I was going to say with the striking. However, but then if you throw Syuri in there, then I would take Syuri and Tomoka just because it's Syuri. But that's a heads you wins, tails you win. But I'm going to ask you the same question, buddy. What team would you like to see?
The same, for the same reason, Tomoka and Hina.
We're
because
on a roll
again,
today, buddy.
again, you look at that match against Syuri Poi from Korakuen Hall, and you can see the differences between the two and how well they play off each other. Again, I was convinced that they were going to be the next challengers for the Goddess of Stardom Championships. Obviously, Hina has other things on her mind, and fair enough. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to seeing Tomoka and Rana being another title defense for BMI 2000. Finally, your main event, Hanako taking on Akira Kuragane in non-title action. Again, Akira Kuragane being sort of portrayed as the weak link in Mi Vida Loca for Xena. Now Hanako able to get the win over her. How do you think she fared in this match, even in a loss?
Great job building her up. She looked like, again, Hanako was using her size and strength to overpower Akira, but Akira had a lot of resilience. Very much like we saw towards the back end of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, where it was just like she's going to take a beating, but keep coming back and having that never say die attitude. And that's what happened here. But that's towards the end of this match, it was too much of Hanako, with the Boston Crab, the half crab, the big lariats, that eventually she wore down Akira enough that opened up the door for the JP coaster. Again, even though in a loss, I thought Akira looked really good here. Hanako getting the big win to end this show. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Yeah, it was a good main event match, but I'd have actually been more inclined to end it with the 6-woman tag. I thoroughly enjoyed that match. Nothing to take away from Hanako and Akira Kuragane. And again, both women did very, very well. And I think Akira Kuragane covered herself in glory, even in a loss, as I mentioned before. Immediately following this, Hanako basically called out for some challenges for the Future of Stardom Championship. The entire locker room emptied. I don't know if you saw this. Tomoka Inaba came just waltzing down to the ring, thinking they were just doing like the end of the show bit, and then had to wait on the outside because she didn't realize that it was challengers. Those challengers are Ronnie Yagami, Uriah Hime, and Aya Sakura. By the way, Aya Sakura did make me laugh because she said, "I do want to challenge, but at the moment I'm too busy being cute." Obviously referencing her feud with Maki Ito, so that was quite entertaining.
Priorities.
Absolutely. I imagine the chances are that Hanako will run through Rana, will run through Uriah Hime, and the belt will then go to Aya Sakura. I don't see Aya Sakura challenging Hanako again, only to lose again. I'd be very, very, very surprised. And I'll be perfectly honest, Hanako doesn't need the belt. So again, especially with this new coat of paint she's going to get from changing factions, I don't think she needs the belt, to be perfectly honest. I think she's sort of not necessarily graduated, but she's certainly looking at that Goddesses of Stardom title scene, the Artist of Stardom title scene, rather than the Future of Stardom. So again, another couple of title defenses, another couple of solid singles matches, and then move Hanako up to that division instead. Moving on then, ladies and gentlemen, we finally get to the main event of the show, and that is, of course, Stardom Supreme Fight 2026 in Osaka, the pay-per-view airing on Saturday, the 7th of February 2026. Some really interesting things happening on this show. Of course, Sayaka Kurara defending the red belt against Starlight Kid, champion for 405 days going into this pay-per-view, with this being her 9th successful title defense. A win for Sayaka Kurara on this pay-per-view would take her to 9 successful title defenses, would see her move to joint 3rd for defenses of the red belt in a single reign, level with her former Aphrodite partner Utami Hayashishita, and sitting behind Io Shirai and Syuri on 10, and the 14 defenses obviously set by Io through 2015 and 2017. So big numbers for Saya Kamatani. Obviously, Konami defending against Ami Sourei as well. We'll talk about that match and the stats heading into that. But in terms of the attendance, this is the 10th show that Stardom have run in the Edion Arena, Osaka. The first since Namba Grand Fight, where they drew 1,407 on the 14th of September 2024. The announced attendance for this show was 2,563. Not only is that a 1,156 person and 82.16% increase on their previous outing at the venue, but it's also a 39.9% increase on their previous best at Edion Arena Osaka, which before this was 1,832, which they drew to Supreme Fight 2023, which, if you remember, was main evented by Julia versus Suzu Suzuki for the World of Stardom Championship. Talking about the results then of this show, we open with a 5-way match. Momo Kogo defeating Yuna Mizumori, Lady C, Azusa Inaba, and Kyoka Katatsu in 6 minutes and 27 seconds. 6-woman tag team action. The God's Eye team of Hina, Rani Yagami, and Tomoka Inaba defeated Kikyo Furusawa and Kanai and Sayaka Kurara. Hina pinning Sayaka Kurara with the Mad Splash in 11 minutes and 29 seconds. The first match of the proper card saw Rina defeat Fuwa-chan in a singles match. Rina winning with a Pink Devil in 13 minutes and 22 seconds. Singles match followed again of the Kawaii of the Kawaii, I believe, match. It was officially known as Maki Ito defeating Aya Sakura with the Ito Deluxe in 12 minutes and 6 seconds, meaning that she does not have to leave Stardom. 4-way match. O2 line, Azumi and Miyu Amasaki defeated the Stars team of Sayurida and Uriah Hime, the Sayori Poi team of Natsupoi and Sayori Ano, and then, Matt, the surprise team of Billick and Death and this mystery opponent, Kuidore Hazuki. No idea who that is, of course. Miyu Amasaki pinning Uriah Hime with the Amana Hashidate in 9 minutes and 21 seconds. Singles match, Syuri defeating Saki Kashima, utilizing the most dangerous move in pro wrestling, the Kishkasai, in 7 minutes and 6 seconds. 5-on-4 elimination handicap gauntlet unit battle. Good Lord, that's a mouthful to say. Mavida Loka, Suzu Suzuki, Atsuki Aoki, Rini Yamashita, and Akira Kuragane defeated EXV, Maika, Xena, Hanako, Wax, Tsukiyama, and Rian in 34 minutes and 34 seconds. We'll go through the eliminations when we get to the match. Goddess of Stardom Championship match, the BMI 2000 team of Natsuko Tora and Ruaka. They defeated Hanan and B. Priestley. Tora pinning Hanan with a Swanton Bomb in 15 minutes and 4 seconds. Wonder of Stardom Championship match is your semi-main event then. Konami defeating Ami Sourei for a third successful defense of the white belt, submitting Ami Sourei with a sleeper hold in 19 minutes and 4 seconds. Ami Sourei taking a leaf out of Megaton's book in how quickly she submitted for that sleeper hold. And then finally, in your main event, World of Stardom Championship match, Sayaka Kamatani defeating Starlight Kid with a spinning Star Crusher in 27 minutes and 26 seconds. Now, let's start with these pre-show matches then. We've already mentioned, of course, that Momo Kogo got the victory and, of course, challenged Yuna Mizumori for the high-speed title. It is, of course, great to see Lady C back in action after she was pulled from the Corrigan Hall show due to illness. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this was kind of your standard affair of like your pre-show match. Really good, a lot of talent, not a lot of time. Whereas basically like, let's play the hits, let's make everybody look good, and then let's go to our finish. But the finish had Momo Kogo pinning Yuna. So obviously that sets up their the high-speed championship match again that it may or may not be happening this weekend in Corrigan Hall. Again, more great stuff with Kyoto Katatsu versus Azusa Inaba. That seemed to work really well. We had some great stuff with Azusa and Yuna. If that's the way to go, they're going to go. wouldn't mind seeing Lady C maybe take a crack at the high speed
Mhm.
championship. So she may have to then lose the chaps, Rob, because I think they may weigh her down. So that might be the way to get rid of those chaps. Again, this was really great. Everybody came in, they played the hits. Nothing seemed out of place. I make mention all the time, multi-person matches are hard to do, especially when you have an odd number. If it's four, if it's six, or if it's eight, you can always pair people off. When you have like five or seven, it can be a little tricky because there's not an even amount of people to pair people off with. But they hit all the marks here. Nothing seemed out of place. They were able to tell a little bit of a story as well. Everybody got certain things in. I really enjoyed this one for an opener. 3.5 stars for me.
Six-woman tag then, obviously, we built up Hina towards her World of Stardom Championship defense. Again, World Wonder, although I imagine we aren't
Ooh.
far off a Hina Red Belt title challenge. At the rate Sayaka Kurara is running through the roster, it might be her turn soon. But we talked about the surprise of Sayaka Kurara taking the pinfall. What did you think of the other competitors in this match?
Again, more great stuff with Ann, more great stuff with Kikyo Furusawa. Again, they've only been wrestling, about a year and a half, respectively. This match was all about making Hina look really, really good, making her look dominant, and then we would find out why. Sayaka was kind of the glue that held this together for this makeshift team of Kikyo on and again Sayaka Kurara. If we're not going to see Hina win the Wonder Belt coming up, whenever that challenge is, give me Hina, Tomoka, and Rana as your next artist champions. I think these three. You asked me a few minutes ago, what team do I prefer? Rana and Tomoka, or Tomoka and Hina? Put them all together. Let's make them artist champions. We know it's going to be due time before we see a babyface team take those belts, probably sooner than later. I don't think anybody would argue with me that they wouldn't like to see Hina, Tomoka, and Rana as the next challengers, because you can do really good business with those trio. Again, a really great match to kind of lead us into the main parts of the pay per view, with Hina looking really, really strong. Hina and Sayaka, that closing sequence that they had towards the end was really, really good, really impressive for me. 3.5 stars, with Hina getting another win.
We then moved on to the main show proper, and of course saw Fuwa-chan in her second ever singles match, first match to not feature Hazuki in any way. We were torn between this one, weren't we? I believe that Rina was going to get the victory. You thought that Fuwa-chan might steal it. Most importantly, Matt, how do you think Fuwa-chan did in this match, and how do you think Rina did in her role as the leader in this match as well?
We knew this would be good because Fuwa-chan is very capable as a pro wrestler, especially when she has somebody, to kind of follow along with. And we've seen Rina in the last year and a half wrestle these wrestlers that have only been wrestling 5, 6 months, if that, and having really good matches. Considering the fact that Rina, I think she's only 19. I think she just turned 19 not that long ago. And we've been seeing her leading matches when she's 17, 18, and now 19 years old as somebody that's been dabbling in the main event scene. So it was going to be good. And this was really, really good. My only concern was, considering 4 big matches to close out this show, that I thought this one might have suffered from lack of time, and it didn't. A little over 13 minutes, I thought was great to tell the story. Fuwa-chan, very good at the fundamentals, the big lock up, the wrist locks, the headlocks, knowing where to be as well. As great as Rina is, in order for you to have a good match, it takes two to tango. Again, Fuwa-chan is very good at the fundamentals, and Rina did a great job taking Fuwa-chan and making her look really good. Great closing sequence towards the end. It was this match where I realized that Hazuki would definitely be in that tag match, because, Rob, I don't know if you've seen, about 2 hours before the show aired, they said Hazuki would not be able to make the
They
show.
did.
And so at first I was like, oh, maybe she's sick, get well, Hazuki. And then she was already tweeting and Instagramming out, plugging the show. I'm like, that's really weird for a show that you're not on. You're even really doing the hard sell. And the fact that Hazuki was working the apron like Ricky Steamboat was back in the 80s, like she's banging on the mat, and it's like she seems to be moving around her shoulders and her legs. And then I noticed she's wearing the baggiest clothes ever. And I was like, oh, they're definitely doing like some sort of a Hazuki gimmick. We'll get into it. Kind of gave it away. But again, I liked how well Rina was in this match, gave Fuwa-chan a lot, to the point where I thought my prediction would have been right. But ultimately, is Rina hitting the Pink Devil, putting away Fuwa-chan. I thought this was really the perfect outing to set the main show, to basically all systems go for the main show 3 and 3/4 stars. The crowd really got into this one, especially with those falsies towards the end.
Maki Ito and Aya Sakura. I've said before that I think this feud has been really good for Aya. She was never winning this feud, obviously, especially with the stipulation added that Maki Ito will be leaving Stardom if she lost. But it's been great for Aya to sort of explore her character outside of just being the high kick angel, just being really good in the ring. And I think Maki Ito was brought out a different side of Aya Sakura. And we saw that during the match, the stuff with the Kawaii of Kawaii title, even though it is just a cardboard title, the Eddie Guerrero stuff I thought was really funny. But again, Maki Ito is just entertaining. She's really entertaining. And again, wrestlers are sort of forced to bounce off her. And I think where we are losing Saki Kashima, who is such a unique talent, we're going to talk about her in a minute, and obviously the hole that she's going to leave when she does retire in Yokohama. Maki Ito, though a completely different talent, has that sort of level where she has unique chemistry with everyone on the roster. And I think her stuff with Aya Sakura has been wildly entertaining. I'm not saying that Maki Ito was a replacement for Saki Kashima by any stretch of the imagination. However, Maki Ito has that same sort of ability to be funny without it feeling ridiculously forced.
I'll get the one negative thing out of the way here, Rob. So they do the Eddie Guerrero spot, which I don't think I've ever seen in Stardom before. So they do the Eddie Guerrero spot. But if you're going to do it, go, and I understand the joke is it's a cardboard belt, right? That's the joke. If you're going to go in, go all in. Maki Ito should have gigged. Like the one side of her face, like just like not like the usual spot where you're supposed to like in the middle of the forehead, so it comes down, Crimson Mask like Flair in '84, but like just maybe cut her one side of her face,
just
like
a little bit, yeah,
absolutely. Like look, it's a paper cut, you know. She clearly hit me. Should have went all in. Kidding aside, but that would have been really funny. Aya was so fired up for this match. She comes in and she posts poor Maki Ito. Maki Ito takes an absolute beating in the beginning part of this match. And then Maki Ito fires back. Great stuff back and forth, some near falls. Really interesting stuff. And again, I think a lot of us knew like, okay, Maki Ito's definitely winning this match for a lot of the reasons we laid out in our preview last week, partner. But there was some near falls there towards the end. I was like, maybe. Again, they did a great job blurring the lines to make it look like Aya was going to get the win. Eventually, though, it's Maki Ito hits the big stunner. And then she hits like the Sareee running double stomp with a person sitting, which I was like, oh, okay. Maki Ito's adapting that into her arsenal. And I like the way she did it. Stunner leads right into that running double stomp. That worked out really well. But eventually, it is that high angle Boston Crab, the Ito special, that forces Aya to tap out. 3 3/4 stars. This was a really fun match, a really fun feud. And it's to be interesting to see where Maki Ito goes from here, because this month that she's been in Stardom, with the exception of Hate, she's been working with every faction, which is making it really, really fun. I really hope they do something with her. By her, I mean Maki Ito and Soriano, whether they're a tag team or they're wrestling each other. It just really seems like Soriano is so stoic. Like when she comes in the ring, she's the only wrestler I've ever seen to have charisma by not doing anything. Like Soriano comes in and just like she just aura farming. She has so much charisma just by her standing there. And then Maki Ito, she's running in the crowd. She's singing. She's got all the lights going on her gear. She's getting everything going. Like they're complete opposites in their entrance.
Couldn't have more polar opposites, could you? It's ridiculous.
And they make it work. They've literally made it work since the moment Maki Ito got here. So there's something special there with Soriano and Maki Ito, and I just want to see more of it. And I think eventually we're going to go somewhere with that. Again, really great match. Interesting to see where Maki Ito goes from here. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Who, just before we move on from this, I imagine that we are going to be getting Maki Ito versus Natsupoi at some point because there is a lot of history there. Aside from Sayaka and her smoldering charisma that she seems to have, who has been your favorite person that Maki Ito has worked with so far in the company? Who do you think she's had the best chemistry with?
The Aya stuff as well has worked out really well. But
yeah,
you know what match I want to see? Give me Maki Ito versus Syuri for one of the IWGP belts. I think that because Syuri has really good, as much as a killer as Syuri is, she's got really good comedic timing. And obviously we'll get into it with Saki Kashima. But the Aya stuff's been really good. Oh, Kikyo Furusawa. Definitely Kikyo
there
Furusawa.
you go.
Yeah, definitely here. Because they they dress alike, and then she was like doing the singing with her. Yeah, definitely Kikyo Furusawa. Again, if Makito does do her own faction, I think Kikyo Furusawa is a shoo-in to fit in with that. And not only that, again, Makito is crazy over. She's a great wrestler. If that's the way they go, have them make a run towards put them in the tag division. Them versus Wingor, them versus Sareee-ISM, BMI 2000, FWC. I think that would shake up the tag division because it kind of would give them a fresh matchup with all these established teams we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years. But I think, yeah, Maki and Kikyo Furusawa would be the way to go. I just talked myself into that. What a
There you go.
salesman
Look
I
at
am.
that.
I sold myself.
Moving on, then the 8-woman tag match that obviously saw the re-debut, the biggest re-debut in wrestling of Billiken Death. And obviously, again, as Matt has already mentioned, it was announced prior to the show that Hazuki would not be taking, but Stardom really do have to stop doing this. But she would be replaced by Kuidori Hazuki, who was Hazuki in clown makeup, who, apropos of nothing, had really good chemistry with Billiken Death, which was madness. But unfortunately, the match did end with Uriah Himi continuing her absolutely abysmal record of eating pinfalls, because technically she ate 2. Because Sayuri had the special pottering in, and then she got drop kicked off it by Miyu Amasaki. Miyu Amasaki hit the Amana Hashidate. So not a great week to be Uriah Himi, Matt.
Yeah, a lot of this match was you played your hits, and you had your comedy. Again, this was kind of the middle of the road, kind of break things up before you kind of get towards your last big matches. With obviously all great wrestlers, a lot of great teams. Again, O2 Line, Sareee-ISM, two of the best tag teams and all of wrestling. And then you have your comedy duo of Billiken Death and Clown Hazuki, which was still pretty fun. You get towards the beginning of this match, and Saida has that spot where she chops everybody. And I liked how Azumi is like cheering on Saida to do the chops because Azumi's the last one in the corner. And she's looking at the crowd laughing. By the time Azumi turns around, Saida chops her. And then Saida after the match is like, yeah, I got to go away. I have an injury on my hand. I'm like, of course you do, Saida, because you just chopped 84 people in this match. Great stuff with Miyu and Soriano. Really great stuff, especially towards the end. We've never really seen a big Azumi versus Soriano match. That's a match I would love to see. I just want to see Soriano wrestle everybody because she's great. Great stuff with Azumi and Natsupoi. We didn't get as much of it as we like. Again, 9 minutes, 8 people, 4 teams. Everybody kind of played the hits. Really good closing stretch here, my friend. 3 3/4 stars for me. And nice seeing Miyu Hamasaki picking up a win here.
Yeah, she does feel there is the odd wrestler in Stardom that does feel like they are treading water at the moment. And Miyu Amasaki is certainly one of them. I don't really know where Miyu fits in on the roster or where sort of at the moment her ceiling is, because it doesn't quite feel like she's ready for a white belt shot or a red belt shot. But then, again, I feel like the best opportunity for her to have a Goddess of Stardom run would have been with Azumi. But again, we are very heavily leaning into the hate stuff, which we'll be talking about later. And BMI 2000 have been doing good numbers as Goddess of Stardom champions. You look at the Korakuen Halls, you look at the main events and the numbers that they've drawn in. Artist of Stardom championships, she's already held them. More 5-star matches than Mayu Iwatani, thank you very much.
And Kurt Angle.
And Kurt Angle, absolutely. But whereas everybody seems to have a place in the roster, or again, if you look at Azumi, for example, who isn't doing anything at the moment, you know that all you have to do is tap her on the shoulder and she's in the red belt picture or the white belt picture. I don't feel like that about Miyu Amasaki, and it's a weird one.
I think they missed, and we made mention a couple weeks ago when we reviewed that fantastic match in Korakuen Hall with O2 Line versus BMI 2000. We're halfway through the match. I'm like, O2 Line's winning. Like, Miyu Amasaki was the most over person on that show. That was the biggest reaction she's ever gotten. I think they kind of missed a trick there. Now, whether they realized what they had and they run it back, I understand. Again, BMI 2000, they're doing massive numbers when they defend those belts in Korakuen Hall. But I think eventually that's going to run its course. And we're going to get into their match in a little bit here, where I thought maybe O2 Line maybe should have won it. Maybe they run it back. My quick prediction is I think that in Yokohama Arena, we're going to see the breakdown of Hate. I think you're going to see Hate lose a lot of championships on that show. And I wouldn't be shocked if it's Starbomb or O2 Line that walk out of Yokohama as the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championships and have that be like the first belts that they lose. And then Konami loses possibly to Hanan. Sai Kamatani possibly loses to. We're going to get into it. Stay with us, folks, because I have a couple ideas where they may go there. But I think the fact that Azumi's never held the Goddess belts, and I think her and Starlight Kid or her and Miyu would be the perfect team to defeat BMI 2000. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of like, where do they do it? Miyu? Maybe Miyu wins the Cinderella tournament, Rob, because again, that would be something. She's over, when she's tapped on the shoulder, she's over. She's in a really, the cool faction. That's one thing we haven't looked at. Maybe Miyu Amasaki walks out and wins the Cinderella tournament, and then she parlays that into a tag title shot. Because I don't think we've seen since Mayu winning the Cinderella and then use it for a tag title. It's usually the white or red belt, right? I think it's been since Mayu. Because Tony was red belt.
Did Mayu? No, didn't Mayu parlay?
Wasn't in 2015 with her and Io?
No. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head.
If you read the book, Living the Dream, Stardom's 10th anniversary interview by Rob Goen that came out some 4 years ago, he does have all the championships there. From 2021, obviously. But I could have sworn I read that in your book. I'm not even joking that Mayu used that. We'll find out. We'll figure it out.
I'm going to have a look now because I'm genuinely intrigued. So Cinderella. No, she challenged Kari Hojo at Gold May 2015.
What about 2016? What did she use that for?
That's the first EO match.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, no one's used it for tag belts.
5-star you're thinking of, and Io Shirai parlayed it into a tag title shot with Yoshiko because Yoshiko was red belt champion and her and Yoshiko were in the same faction.
Ah, ladies and gentlemen, just when I think I know everything about Stardom, handsome Rob Goen knows just a little bit more. Hey, what's the score update, buddy? You haven't didn't F-bomb yet. How you doing?
I was very good. It's finished now. We won 2-1.
There you go. You're all smiles.
Straight after I slammed the iPad down, we scored again. But obviously I missed it, so it doesn't matter. Moving on, Syuri versus Saki Kashima. There's lots to love about this match, from Saki Kashima wearing the Ueda Tai gear that sort of holds a lot of feelings for Saki Kashima, because it was Syuri that came to her aid when she was kicked out of Ueda Tai after that phenomenal cage match. And again, since that point, Saki Kashima has sort of looked up to Syuri, has almost felt inferior to Syuri, and has almost seen her as this idol that she sort of looks up to, which has been this protector almost. And I've really enjoyed that storyline. I enjoyed it during the Goddess of Stardom Tag League when they were teaming as Anacon. And I enjoyed it again here. I thought they had really good chemistry. Obviously, Saki isn't able to do the stuff she used to be able to do, because you can see that the injuries are starting to catch up with her. But something she has, and it's something that I brought up in the Maki Ito match, is phenomenal comic timing. And I think her and Syuri reacts so over the top to absolutely everything that she's the perfect foil to Saki Kashima, and then to win with Saki Kashima's own move as well, I think was a great little stop as we go on this Saki Kashima retirement road. And again, as I've already alluded to, Saki Kashima is never going to win your red belt. She was never going to win your white belt. However, especially in the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, she has been an undeniable linchpin of this roster that offers something completely different. And I think there is going to be a hole that you're going to struggle to fill when Saki Kashima does retire. And yes, we've got funny wrestlers. You've got Fukikin Death. You've got people like Maki Ito, but someone who's effortlessly funny, where it doesn't feel like it's being put on and it's unique. I think Saki Kashima, again, is a one-of-a-kind wrestler that is going to be missed on this Stardom roster.
Yeah, they got Saki at her own concert coming out for this.
She did.
That was really cool. She gets Syuri in the Kishikasai, and people bid on it for half a second because we're like, there's no way they're beating Syuri. She just won this belt at the Tokyo Dome. Obviously, it's not for the title, but people thought this was going to happen for half a second. And Saki tries to leave, and all the members of God's Eye are like, no, you can't leave. She's like, all right, I got to go back in there. More comedy stuff eventually, though. It is Syuri with the Kishi Kasai over Saki Cashman. Now, I'll say this, Rob. I would like to see Syuri win a few matches with that, literally to the point where now it's an established finisher when she's in these big IWGP matches, or hopefully a red belt match or a white belt match, because we haven't seen Syuri challenge for the white belt since Julia back in 2020. That you bite on the Kishi Kasai for a falsie. Maybe she wins a match or two with it in the 5-star Grand Prix. That's a definite way they can go, because she locked it on really well. Then after Saki retires, wouldn't it be cool if Saki's like, I give you this move. You now have permission to use this move. So I like to see Syuri, the most dangerous wrestler legit in this company, now have a quick, because again, she's got all the submissions. We've seen her win matches with head kicks. Obviously, she's got the Vermilion World. She got the Ruin. She's got all these, devastating moves and all these different submissions that she can beat you with. But we never seen Syuri win with like a quick roll up. Like obviously Azumi's got the quick roll up, and Natsupoi's got the quick roll up, and Soriano's got the quick roll up. Let's add that into Syuri's arsenal, and maybe this is where it starts. I'm all for that. The match was fun. We know we weren't getting Syuri versus Tommy in this one. 3.5 stars for me. It was fun enough. And again, maybe this is the start of Syuri using the Kishi Kasai as a finish, not as a constant finish, but something where they build up to the fact that she might be able to get a victory with this, which will then they'll just add to the drama towards her big matches.
Moving on then, and we move on to the big elimination gauntlet match. And just to run through these one-on-one matches before I throw to Matt, we started with Itsuki Aoki and Waka Tsukiyama. Itsuki Aoki picking up the victory in a shade over 4 minutes. Itsuki Aoki then also defeated Xena, which really surprised me that she wiped out both Waka and Xena straight away in 5 minutes and 39 seconds. Hanako then finally eliminated Itsuki Aoki via over the top rope after 3 minutes. Hanako and Rina Yamashita, that's been a feud that's been bubbling over the last couple of weeks. That ended in a double over the top rope elimination in 5 minutes and 54 seconds. Most predictable part of this match, Maika and Suzu ending in a time limit draw in 10 minutes. And that was great. One of the best part, if not the best part of the match, Maika and Suzu slugging it out, revisiting that excellent feud from 2023. The only real surprise for me was, with a match with so much at stake, was that they left that main event, that main part of this match, to Akira Kuragane and Rian. And you know what? They blew it out of the water, especially Akira Kuragane. We've sung the praises of Rian a lot on this podcast, but Akira Kuragane deserves her flowers here. What a performance from her. That Yukabari lock that she locked Rian in to actually secure the win looked absolutely brutal, looked great. And to see her being embraced by the members of Movida Loca, phenomenal. Obviously, we've already talked about the fact that EXV are no more, Micah's injury, and hopefully that she is going to be okay, looks like. But in terms of a match, Matt, I thought it was structured pretty well. The only thing that I was surprised about really was that Xena and Waka were eliminated fairly sharpish.
Yeah, poor Waka gets in there first. She gets her butt kicked real quick. I'm like, oh man, poor
With
Waka.
new gear as well.
Yeah, it was just like Azumi on her birthday during the 5-star Grand Prix 3 years ago. But again, you have a 5-on-4, and within 10 minutes, the advantage is with Movida Loca. It's like Azuki Aoki, she gets rid of Waka 4 minutes, right? And doesn't really use much, energy. Then Xena comes in. Xena wears down Aoki a little bit, but then it's Aoki's able to get the pin on Xena with a rolling cradle and almost catching Xena. And then you see Hanako, she comes in and she's just the bulldozer to lay down Aoki against Aoki, but Aoki is able to come back and put some dents in Hanako. You think that Hanako is just going to run right through her, not really take any damage, but it was almost like the strategy was for Aoki to wear down Hanako enough for the next participant, which eventually was Arena. So did a great job, really, really separating Azuki Aoki in the first part of this match. She eliminated 2 members and then wore down the biggest member of this match. Again, eventually the double over the top rope elimination from Rina and Hanako. And then we get Mike and Suzu, which I was like, oh, this is really interesting, because we knew where this was going to go. This was definitely go to the 10-minute time limit draw. I totally agree with you. they're the two best wrestlers in this match. No disrespect to anybody else, but Mike and Suzu are special wrestlers. They are on the top of any wrestling promotion. You want to go the 10 minutes. It was violent. It was hard hitting. It was back and forth. It was great stuff. Again, me, the MMA fan that I am, this goes to the time limit draw. If they went to judge's decision, I would say this was 50-50. I would have judged it a draw. They did a great job making sure Micah got her stuff in, Suzu got her stuff in. They upped the violence. Again, it does look like Mike is okay. Thank God for that. And this is definitely a singles feud I would like to see revisited with these two, because these two absolutely hit it out of the park towards the end of 2023. Again, quick little history lesson is Mike and Suzu were in the finals of the 2023 5-Star Grand Prix, and then they main evented Dream Queendom for the vacant World of Stardom Championship. So again, really great stuff there. And they did, and I this made sense to me. Once these two started, I'm like, okay, we know it's going to come down to Akira and Rian. And again, Micah and Suzu absolutely tore it up. Goes down to Akira and Rian because now we're putting a different spotlight on these two wrestlers. And Rian and Akira, you're absolutely right, partner. They blew it out of the water. They had to go after two former 5-Star Grand Prix winners that absolutely tore it down. So now it's like, how do you go after that? And you're the end of this long emotional gauntlet. And these two absolutely knocked it out of the park. Akira with the Gambari lock, a new move for her. Absolutely loved it. I thought Rian's fighting and fighting spirit was terrific here, but it was too much of Akira. And it was almost like they teased her by them EXV. They kind of teased her on those New Blood shows we just talked about. And you kind of just woke up the gorilla. You just kind of pissed off the barking dog in Akira. And eventually she puts away one Rihanna. And Akira, out of all these wrestlers, is the sole survivor, which again, I love the booking, because it'd be one thing if it was Suzu, or if it was Hanako, or if it was Micah, or it was Rina. But it's like, let's do something with somebody different to make it stand out. And they did it with Akira towards the end of the Goddess tournament. And they did it here again. I think Akira is she may be somebody that makes a run in the Cinderella tournament, buddy. As far as this whole entire match goes, I just gave it 1-star rating, 4 stars for the whole entire thing. I thought it was great. I love the over-the-top rope rule during these elimination matches because it adds to the drama.
Yeah, it
really, really great stuff. Again, 4 stars for me. Thoroughly enjoyed this.
So third from the top, we had the Goddesses of Stardom Championship match. Now, something that I found quite interesting in terms of the Goddesses of Stardom Championship, this victory, the 5th successful title defense, okay, would see them become only the second team since 2019, 21 champions ago, to make it to 5 successful championship defenses. The other obviously being Wingori. It also puts the champions joint 4th on the all-time list for successful defenses of the Goddess of Stardom Championships alongside Wingori. Thunder Rock atop with 11. Oedo, the team of Kagetsu and Hana Kimura, are second with 8 successful title defenses. But Matt, who are the team in third that BMI 2000 have in their crosshairs?
Are we doing all-time combined or one single reign?
One single reign.
Is it?
And I will give you
Kairi and Yoko Bito?
It is not. It is 6 successful title defenses.
Okay, 6 title defenses. Give me a year. Give me a year.
If I give you a year, you'll get it straight away.
Okay. Is it Julian Cherry?
No.
Is it? Oh, it's the Killer Bees. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. There you go. Straight away. Killer Bees.
No, I don't know who it is.
Momo Watanabe and Utami.
Oh, back in 2018. Yeah, I would have got it. Yeah, if you give me 2018.
Straight away. Yeah. So yes, obviously a big statement win for BMI 2000. Again, the first of what will be a series of big wins for Hate. Now, we'll talk a little bit about the opinion of Hate and their domination over the card a little bit later on, because again, it is something that is being spoken about, and I think it's something that is a discussion point. In terms of this match, though, Matt, what were your thoughts?
Good, very good at points, but not great. We have seen great matches for the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championships. 90% in the last 5 years have been really fantastic matches, where to me, this seemed like it was just missing something. I don't know what it was. I love the finish. How Hana and B are not a tag team. and it was the tag team chemistry. I made mention of before, the
Mhm.
tag team chemistry and the fact that Hate are heels and there's 84 people on the outside. That was ultimately did in Hanan and B Priestley. I'm loving B Priestley in Stardom. I make mention that every week. I'm going to make mention again. She just seems so happy. And we see it quite a bit when you have foreign talent come over to any Japanese company that they're not used to the hard hitting style, or if they leave to go to one of the big companies and come back, it takes them a little bit to be like, oh, that's right, yeah, they hit really hard over here. That's kind of their thing. Where B since day one was just like, I'm back, here I am, and she's throwing bombs. And obviously, Tor and Ruwaka, they're really used to that style. They're very good with that style. Great stuff there. Great stuff with Hanan and Tora. They have really great chemistry. Hanan and Ruwaka, if you remember, they were the semifinals of the Cinderella tournament 2 years ago. So a little bit of history there. And again, Hanan, she's another one. So great to be back. I'm expecting her to have a big year, maybe win the 5-star Grand Prix, maybe make it to the finals. We'll see from there. But again, it just for some reason for me, I don't know if it's because it was like late in the night or I was waiting for the next two matches. It seemed to kind of drug out a little bit. Again, maybe that's me. Maybe I need to go back and watch this with a fresher set of eyes. But I love that towards the end of the match, we do get this really great, and I love how B and Hanan they got this combination of move over in these lead up matches where B does the Uranagi and Hanan does the backdrop suplex. So they hit that for a really, really great, cool combination. Hanan hits the Hanan special, but the referee gets pulled. B Priestley accidentally super kicks Hanan. We get the miss to B Priestley. Hanan escapes the DVD for the 17. I really like that for near fall. Like, it's rinse and repeat. We know what's going to happen here. She gets hit with the miss. She's going to hit with the DVD. Hanan slips out of the DVD. 17 roll up to Tora. That was a really great fall. See, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Eventually, though, Ruwaka comes in, hits the big release German suplex, and Natsuko Tora hits the swanton, putting away Hanan. Again, a good match that had very great points. And I did like how Hanan, towards the end, she goes for the dive and hits B. So I'm like, ooh, is that going to cause the possible breakup here? And then B accidentally super kicks Hanan. So you're like, I wonder if that's going to happen in anything here. Obviously, not only does it not do that, but after Tora and Ruwaka get the win, they try to beat up on Hanan, and then B shields Hanan. So I made the prediction like 2 or 3 weeks ago that I think B may turn on Hanan and go with Hate. Not only did she not turn on them, but she protected Hanan from more damage after the bell. So it couldn't have been any more opposite of what my prediction was a couple weeks ago. Again, a really good match. It just seems like these goddess tag matches we've seen over the last few years have really been next level, where this to me never really got to that fourth gear. I still had it at 3 3/4 stars. I thought it was a good enough match, but to me, it just seemed like something was missing.
Now, it's funny you should say that because actually I felt the exact same way about Konami and Amisori.
Ooh.
Now, I knew we'd disagree about this match. And I really enjoyed the psychology of it. Amisori starting out hot, lighting Konami up with those chops, and then Konami thinking, well, don't fancy eating any more of them. So instead centered all her offense around wiping out Amisori's chops. This, for me, especially the second half of the match, felt like Konami on autopilot. And then once we got the referee interference with Azusa pulling out the referee after the like thunderbolt or like a lightning, no, like a thunderbolt. We then had the spray paint, which didn't lead to the finish, so it was unnecessary. It felt, when you look at the fire and the intensity with which we had the Konami and Rina match and the Konami and Saida match, I felt like this was a little bit of a step back. It almost felt like a Hate paint by numbers in a way. And that's not to discredit the goodness of the match. Again, as you mentioned with the BMI 2000 match, it was good in parts. There were parts that were great. But for me, it lacked something. And I think it lacked a bit of intensity, which is what I've loved about Konami's reign up until this point. I felt like this was a little bit of a backward step.
I see your point. There's a lot of stuff I agree with you. And when you're watching matches, especially big championship matches, when you're getting ready for the match to start, you have a certain expectation. My expectation was very high for this match, considering Konami, Starlight Kid, where she won the belt was amazing. Konami and Rina, Konami and Saida, both great matches. Ami, since she's come back from injury, has hit home run after home run. The 5-star Grand Prix, that Saida #1 contenders match.
Sayuri match was great.
So I had pretty high expectations, and it missed the bar for me, Rob. I still thoroughly enjoy this. I give it 4.25 stars, which again is a great rating. But I off the top of my head, I think the 3 Konami Championship matches, Kid, Rina, and Ida, I think I had at 4 3/4 stars. And I know I gave Ami and Saida the perfect 5 stars. That's how much I enjoyed this. So I figured styles make fights. They have the similar styles, the hard hitting, the great pacing, the great fire. You're throwing semi-main event of a show where they sold a whole ton of tickets. You figure that they would have hit 84 home runs, and they just hit a solid triple. Again, 4.25 stars. So again, I see your point. It did seem like towards the end of the match, it was a lot of like Konami 2024 5-star Grand Prix, where the cheating was just so much. It kind of took away from the match. We've seen her kind of cheat a little bit, where it kind of just it adds to the match as a heel, where you're getting more intensity on the babyface, or getting more cheers for the babyface to make their comeback. I still thought that was great stuff. Like Ami Sourei towards the end, really firing up on Konami. After Konami hits the 13.99, Ami goes for the Rainmaker. Konami ducks. She locks in the rear naked choke. Again, they do a great job building up the rear naked choke on certain parts of this match. Ami Sourei eventually hits a huge fighting spirit lariat that leads to the Rainmaker, and then she hits the like a Thunderbolt. And I totally bit that for the falsy until I see how far spread out the referee is. Anytime you see the referee laid out when he's going for a 3 count, like he's going to take a nap, you know he's getting pulled out of the ring, like clearly. And that's the feed. That's, it's just sometimes I see behind the curtain on that. So the ref gets pulled. Then we get and that was a great spot for the crowd, because the crowd was kind of tired going into this match because it was a long show. And that once the ref got pulled, the crowd was like, oh, come on, because Konami was bending the rules quite a bit in this match, but then they're really starting to break the rules. Great stuff there, where Konami then slips out of the second like a Thunderbolt into a rear naked choke, into the German suplex combination, and then Konami hits the buzzsaw kick, locks in the triangle lancer. But I really like the spot where Ami Sourei powers up out of the triangle lancer, hits a DVD. I thought that was great, but then it's just too much of the Konami strikes, the head kick, the pump kick, the buzzsaw kick, and then Konami locks back in the rear naked choke. And you're right, Ami Sourei, she could have sold that a little bit, considering that the crowd was really getting into it at this point towards the end of the match, where she kind of had it in and then just tapped out. I think if she would have been like reaching for the ropes a little bit, and then maybe if Konami like pushed her off the ropes, or if she got to the ropes and then Konami pulled her off, I think they would have gotten a little more juice out of the squeeze. Regardless, I still enjoy this one. 4.25 stars, but you're right, partner. You did make a lot of really good points towards this match. I think they have a better match in them, but by no means was this bad. This is my second favorite match from the show. It's actually my second favorite match of the week from when I do my weekly YouTube videos. I just had a really high bar for this match, for how great these two wrestlers have been over the last 6 or 7 months. Again, 4.25 stars for me.
Moving on then, the main event, and a match that had the entire Twitterverse a buzz, and rightly so. This was a fantastic match. You talk about expectations, Matt. I had the highest of high expectations with Sayaka Kurara and Starlight Kid, and the start only really served to emphasize that I was right to have those high expectations. These two have phenomenal chemistry. Then the injury happens, and Matt, I've watched it about 6 times. I still don't know how Sayaka Kurara dislocates her fingers. It's not the land. Oh, okay. Because I looked and I couldn't tell that she doesn't seem to land on them, and Starlight Kid doesn't seem to catch them as she comes off the top rope. That being said, there have been criticisms of Sayaka Kurara, and I must admit they are not criticisms I agree with. But again, everyone is entitled to their opinion, and I want to make that perfectly clear. You are more than entitled to your opinion. I simply don't agree with this, that Sayaka Kurara matches are the same. Now, I think you look back at the matches and there's differences. Again, it's what you like. This match for me is completely different to any match that she has had before. She would have had a phenomenal match with Starlight Kid without the injury. but the resilience to basically fight as though there was no injury and bring out an even better match whilst clearly being in so much pain, that is my champion. And she's a goddamn heel. I'm not supposed to like the fact that she can do that. I'm not supposed to be behind Sayaka Kurara.
She's a what, Rob? Give me your Jim Cornette. Give me a Jim Cornette.
She's a heel.
God damn.
God damn. Did she dislocate a finger? But I just loved everything about this match. I thought it was brilliantly paced. I thought the near falls were fantastic. I thought Starlight Kid showing absolutely no mercy on Sayaka Kurara, who stops Daichi from saying he's going to throw the match out. And then instantly gets hit with a Black Tiger pile driver on the apron. I was like, right, Starlight Kid is not playing here. It had that big match feel. And that occasionally can hamstring a match because you've got to live up to that hype. Case in point, AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 34, where it had the hype, and for one reason or another, it didn't live up to it. Probably because the show was 18 and a half hours long, but that's beside the point.
I was so drunk during that.
Here.
So drunk.
AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura had a match at WrestleMania 34.
No, I was so excited for that, and they put it in the middle of the card. Middle of the
6-hour card. But this lived up to that hype, and for me, truly cemented why Sayaka Kurara is such a special talent. That being said, good Lord, what a performance from Starlight Kid. I talk over and over and over again on this podcast about who is the star to Sayaka Kurara's evil. Okay, who are you going to bring in, or who are you going to have? Evil, yeah,
evil.
I thought you said evil.
You said evil, so I said Io.
There you go. Who are you going to bring in on the babyface side of it that's going to match her aura? And it felt like they tried to do it with Natsupoi, and they might well revisit that, and I'm all for that. But for me, it was always Micah. And after this match, there is every possibility that it could be Starlight Kid.
Okay, I have a lot to talk about here. And if there's a point that you want to make, by all means, do your best, Bobby Eaton, and cut me off.
You do you.
A lot of Midnight Express references. You do your goddamn Bobby, and with that knee. I made mention before about whenever I'm watching a match, especially a big match, I always have an idea in my head how good it should be. And a lot of these Sayaka Kurara matches, especially like the Izumi one, I'm like, my expectations are so high. Can she get there? And she has. My expectations were so high. I was actually listening to our preview of this show on Friday on my way home. And I think you even said, all right, Matt, we're going to move on for this. I was like, and I had so much more to say that I'm like, I'm going to do a YouTube. I did a YouTube video like the night before, and I put something on TikTok because I had so much to say about this. In my opinion, these are the two best wrestlers in Stardom from last year. Azumi's right there as well. Like Saya's one, and then it's like Azumi and Starlight Kid. And obviously we were there in Sumo Hall when Saya defeated Soriano. And then Starlight Kid came on. I didn't see Starlight Kid. You did before me because you started shaking me. You're like, Matt, look who's coming out. Look who's coming out. I'm like, where? I'm like, oh my God, it's Starlight Kid. This is the match that they teased a year ago. Back in January last year, they started teasing this with Kid as White Belt champion, Kamatani as Red Belt champion. And then when they were on the same pay-per-views, you would have that 1-2 combination of Starlight Kid semi-main event, Sayaka Kurara main event. And it was almost like they were trying to outdo each other. Who would have the better match? Very much like Kamatani and Syuri in 2022 when Kamatani was Wonder Champion and Syuri was Red Belt. Syuri was Red Belt champion. Those were the vibes that I was getting. So I was like, wow, we're getting this match here. Considering we thought maybe they would have go to Yokohama. And we mentioned before, Kamatani is clearly the number one star. And me and you would go back and forth. Is it Kid or is it Micah as two? And they both had legit claims. Some week, like, we think it's Kid. Some week, we're like, maybe it's Micah. Like, we don't know where they were going. So it's like my expectations were so high for this match that I was almost kind of nervous. I'm like, They need to hit this out of the park, like absolutely hit it out of the park to get to how high my expectations were for this match. And boy, howdy, did they ever. I mean, just from Kid's entrance, where she has half white mask, half red mask, the symbolization of former Wonder of Stardom champion. I'm taking on the greatest Wonder of Stardom champion of all time, Sayaka Kurara, but she's the current red belt champion. So I was like, I really like that. Starlight Kid looks like $1,000,000 as always. So does Sayaka Kurara. They start the match, and it's going absolutely fantastic. And I look at wrestling different than most because I know the tricks of the trade. And again, I'm not saying my view on it is different. It's is better. I'm just saying it's different. Like very much like how when Rob watches what we call soccer, he calls football because Rob has played. He understands certain things that I wouldn't because I other than people running, I don't know how soccer is played. I would love to watch a game with you. Maybe when we come over to England in the summer, I would love to watch a match with you because I would like to know some of the interlinkings that happen. So again, I look at wrestling, and again, by no means is my way better. I'm just saying it's different. So the match is happening. Kamatani hits the drop kick as Starlight Kid's coming out of the air, which is a great spot. I even wrote my notes. Wow, what a great spot! And then all of a sudden, you see the doctors come in, and I'm like, I wonder if this is the Tam thing that they did at Dream Queendom. I'm like, I don't want it to be because I don't like it when they do that. Now that made sense for that match, but I was like, I'd rather it be a work than an actual shoot because you don't want Kamatani to get it. And as I'm thinking of this, then the camera pans back and it goes right to the Wonder Belt or the World Belt, the Red Belt, and then it goes to the far camera angle, and I'm like, no, this isn't a work. This is a shoot. Now I'm thinking in my head as I'm watching this live. Let me take a step back. Rob, you didn't watch the show live, did you?
I did not know.
Did you know what happened before you watched this match?
Yes, the first thing that came up on social media was a still of Saya Kamatani's ridiculously swollen middle finger.
Okay, so I actually I text Andy Header about an hour after the show, and he only goes on Facebook, and Facebook doesn't have a lot of the Stardom results there. So I was like, stay off Twitter, stay off social media. Something happens in the main event. If you know, it's probably going to take away from a certain part of the match. So again, now I'm watching this match as it's happening, and I know it's a legit injury. Like, okay, this isn't a work, this is a legit injury. Where's Saya? And Andy Header was the same way. He's like, I watched it twice. Where did Saya get hurt? It was the landing. That's the only possible way because you have to understand when you do a drop kick, when you hit your opponent, when you come down on the landing, you're landing almost like you're catching yourself in a push-up position. Considering she's drop kicking Starlight Kid coming out of the air 100 miles an hour, you don't know how fast you're going to hit the mat. So she hit that mat because you're basically you're having something getting thrown into your way as you're jumping, and there's no way to judge how fast you're going to come down on the mat because you don't know how fast Starlight Kid's coming. So I watched it twice. You really can't see it that clearly, but very much like when Kamatani got hurt against Tam at the night one of the 2023 5-star Grand Prix, you really can't tell. So if you do go back and watch it, when Kamatani comes down, she comes down a little bit faster on that injured hand than she does on the opposite hand. So it's tough to judge. She just came down too fast, too hard, and hit the mat. That's all that had happened. Right, okay. It was an accident. And again, if it was a regular drop kick, would it happen? Probably not. It does happen. But again, the fact that she drop kicked Starlight Kid and came back and ricocheted off the mat, that's where the injury happened. Now, again, that's okay. I'm sitting here in this chair and I'm like, she's hurt for real. Now I'm thinking of two things. One, when Mayu got hurt against, obviously my main thing is that, I want to make sure that she's okay. Now, I didn't know it was the hand. Maybe it's the shoulder. Is it the neck? Did she break her arm? So it's like, oh my goodness, like, is this how this championship reign is going to end? This legendary run, is it going to end on an injury like Mayu and Toni Storm? Or did she break her arm like Saya and Tam, as I just mentioned, night one of the 2023 5-star Grand Prix? And I'm thinking this, and all of a sudden you see Okada getting involved, and then you see Daichi getting involved. And once Daichi kept going back and forth to Saya and Starlight Kid, and I could have this wrong. I don't think I do. My wrestler's brain is telling me they're using Daichi to call spots because they need to hurry up to go somewhere. So that's where my wrestler's brain is going. When you have a great referee, and again, I think Daichi's the best referee in wrestling, you can use that referee to be like, okay, here's what's going on. She's not 100%. We're going to be able to finish this match. It's the big main event. The doctors are going to clear her, but you need to go here, here, and here. But now I'm thinking, now all of a sudden Okada's getting involved. So what if the referee, to add to the drama in my own mind, what if the referee's like, yeah, Saya can finish this match, but after this, she's going to be out for a little bit. And then maybe Okada's like, look, if she's going to lose the belt, let her lose it in the ring. Very much like if you remember Willow and Mercedes Moné, when Mercedes broke her ankle, Mercedes like, I'm done. I'm supposed to win this match, but now we have to call an audible. So you have Okada there. So now I'm sitting there going, okay, I think Saya's okay. She's starting to get up. It looks like they're using, and I could be wrong, they're using the referee to communicate spots back and forth. Now Okada's getting involved. He's the one that calls the shots. Maybe he's like, okay, we're just going to have Starlight Kid win the belt here. So now that's my thinking going in. Saya Kamatani gets up. She pushes Daichi. They go. And what's the first spot, Rob? It's a Black Tiger pile driver
on the apron.
So now I'm going, Starlight Kid's winning because now she gets a big move on the apron. She's going to roll Starlight Kid in, hit the moonsault, game over. That's what I'm thinking. And then they wrestle for like another 20 minutes, and it's epic and next level. Now, Rob, you have to put this in your head. They dodged a bullet there. It's only her fingers, right? Taped it up. Okay. Again, it could have been the shoulder. It could have been the arm. It could have been the neck. Where my wrestler brain is going is, okay, we dodged a bullet there. We can finish the match. We'll worry about the injury that the doctors cleared later. Do we have any other bigger spots that may happen in this? Do we have any bigger spots in this match plan that we could have another injury? Oh, they sure did. They sure did. And the fact they still did all of that shows the trust of Saya to Starlight Kid and Starlight Kid to Saya Kamatani, especially that top rope Star Crusher, which, correct me if I'm wrong, partner, Saya Kamatani has never hit before. She's never done a top rope Star Crusher. Considering we're 25 minutes into this match, Kamatani has one good hand, and you're posting with that. The fact that Starlight Kid wasn't going to call an audible, she's like, no, I'll still take that. Like that puts so much trust into Starlight Kid and into Saya Kamatani. You're taking a full head bump coming off the top rope where all you can do is tuck your chin and hold on. That is all onto the person giving that hold. That, again, what did I say before? The most important thing is to protect your opponent. And Saya Kamatani with one hand, a move that she's never done before, 25 minutes into this match with only one hand, is able to protect Starlight Kid. That absolutely blew my mind. You know what else blew my mind, partner? Top rope Tiger driver. Considering the bump, and again, I'm going to pull back the curtain. When you're taking any bump, how you're taught in wrestling school is the more parts of your body that hits the mat, the more that it absorbs. That's why whenever I was dumb and would do thumbtack matches, the more thumbtacks, the better, because the more you land, the more your body can absorb. I'd rather fall on 10,000 thumbtacks than 10. So when you take a bump, you're tucking your chin and then you're swimming out. So this way, your back of your neck, your back, your elbows, and your hands all hit the same time, absorbing the bump. Kamatani takes this bump coming off the top ropes, and what does she slap, Rob? Her injured hand off the apron before she does the top rope Star Crusher. So to me, that's even more impressive. And again, in my mind, as this match is going, I'm like, there might be a possibility that they flip the belt here. And they do so many spots that make you believe. They do, again, the top rope tiger driver. And then Starlight Kid hits the tiger suplex. I'm like, that's the finish. Kamatani kicks out. She immediately goes to the star suplex, the same move that won her the Wonder Belt a year ago. I'm like, that's the finish. New champion. I was so dead set. Those three moves back to back to back after the Black Tiger pile driver on the apron. I'm like, what a great way to end this reign. And Kamatani kicks out. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I loved the spot. I'm going to back up here again. I loved how before the tiger driver on the top rope, the two of them are fighting, and Starlight Kid has been working on Kamatani's knee. Kamatani's getting the better of the top rope fight, but as Kamatani's trying to like maneuver herself, she leaves her foot there, and it's on the top rope. And what does Kid do? She just starts elbowing Kamatani's hurt knee, and then she hits the tiger driver, which I thought was great. She used the thing she was working on earlier to get towards the big finish. I loved the big bump there, the top rope tiger driver. I thought that was genius on so many levels. I loved how when Kid had Kamatani in the leg crusher submission, when she has wrist control of the arm, happens to be the bad hand. So now you have an extra thing to sell, and Kamatani sold that so well. It was almost like I want to sell this. What's the best way for me to sell this? I'm like, oh, I'm just going to watch the matches that Mayu had with Starlight Kid because Mayu always sold that great and Kamatani's selling was right there. We get towards the end. Again, Kamatani hitting the top rope Star Crusher, which is hard enough to do, but now you're doing it with one hand. And as soon as she hits it, I'm sitting there going, that should be the finish. But I would love for Kamatani to not to be able to get the pinfall right away and half because of the hurt knee and the hurt hand and all the damage done. And this way, Kid kicks out. Because at this point, Kamatani is kicked out of a Tiger suplex, a top rope Tiger driver, and a Star suplex. So now you have to give Kamatani, or excuse me, Starlight Kid, something big to kick out of. She hits the top rope Star Crusher. Never seen it before. Again, in my head, I'm like, she's got one hand. That takes trust. And she crawls over to Starlight Kid and she has the laziest pin on Starlight Kid, which is exactly what she should have done. This gives Starlight Kid the time to kick out. Sayaka Kamatani fires up. She hits not the 360 Star Crusher. I mean, she spun Kid around like 900 and some odd degrees, gets on her up on her tippy toes and plants Starlight Kid right into the middle of the mat. This is as good as pro wrestling gets, even without the injury. If they were still to do the sequence, it still would have been a 5-star match. You added that in, the drama, the fact we almost had this match stop, the fact I thought we might have seen a title change. You throw all that in, and then you have the great promo battle between the two of them back and forth towards the end was epic. And then the post-match promo in the back where Kamatani says, I was injured in this match, but once I realized that this was for the red belt and I need to keep fighting, that's what got me through. Sayaka Kamatani somehow is continuing to raise the prestige of the World of Stardom Championship. Not only did this run do it, obviously the run's not over. Not only did this match do it, but that post-match promo where she got injured and she basically said the main reason why I kept fighting on after injury and after all those crazy things Starlight Kid did to me was to keep the World of Stardom Championship. That's why, in my opinion, this is the most important belt in all of wrestling because of stuff like that. This was genius. Rob, you know me. I do all my notes old school. I have so many of these notebooks over the last 5 years. Might be the only time I've ever written the F word in this. I'm not going to say what I said. I wrote, this was bleeping epic. This was an epic 5 stars, all the stars. This is probably my top 5, top 6 all-time favorite World of Stardom Championship match. This was so good. This was so good. And I want to throw out a point here. Last week, we were told we need to pick a winner. Who is better all time, Io or Mayu, right? And again, it may change week to week, the way these two are going. And I understand that they have been giving us must-see matches for 10 years. Kamatani's been giving us must-see matches probably since 2021 is when she got really good for 5 years. So I think Io and Mayu kind of have double the run that Kamatani does. And this will be a good debate for some time in the future. If you were to list the top 25 to 30 matches of Sayaka Kamatani, Io, and Mayu, I think it's Saya. Saya is a better Wonder Champion than the both of them. She's a better World Champion than Mayu. Now, granted, Mayu had bad luck twice. She won the belt the first time, got injured in that match with Toni Storm, wins the belt the second time, and then COVID happened. So we never really got to see that big Mayu red belt run. But I tell you what, if you take Mayu's IEW GP run and you line it up against Saya's white or Saya's red, I think Saya's better. If you were to take these 10 matches we've seen Saya with the red belt and line them up against any 10 Io, any 10 of the 24 matches that Io's had, I think Saya's better. Saya is the biggest draw in the history of this company. Saya is on my Mount Rushmore for Stardom wrestlers. I think she's right up there with Io and Mayu. Saya is on a completely another level. The draw. We made mention when a little bit ago, we talked about how much they drew. Remember back at the end of 2022, where like Julia is going to be the biggest thing in Stardom once she wins that red belt, and she was. And obviously, we disagree. We both agree she would have had a longer run. But you made mention that the last time Stardom ran this venue and had a really, really big number, Julia was on top against Suzu Suzuki. Sayaka Kamatani drew about 800 more tickets than red hot, pun intended, Julia. She is such a massive star. Numbers we have never seen before. Epic, epic, epic matches. As you mentioned before, some people, very small amount of people are like, yeah, I don't care too much for Sayaka Kamatani. I honestly feel bad for you. That's like literally watching Michael Jordan in 95, 96. And I don't get it. Like, I'm sorry. I just feel bad for you. How do you not appreciate what you were having right now with Saya Kamatani? Again, Saya's on my Mount Rushmore. There's a possibility if she's giving us this level of matches over the next few years, she is definitely going to be in that conversation with Io and Mayu as the greatest in-ring women's wrestler of all time. Starlight Kid. Oh my God. A lot of love for Saya Kamatani, and rightfully so. Starlight Kid. Unbelievable performance. I don't know if this is her best match. It's either this or the Saya match from 4 years ago, back in the summer for the Wonder. They're both right there. They're both neck and neck. I think the way to go, Rob, for Yokohama, Saya Kamatani, Starlight Kid, title versus mask. I think that's the way to go. I think if they really want to stack the deck, give Kamatani a couple wins where she's creeping up on Io, and she's either at 13 or 14 going into that. So it's like Kamatani can break the record and take Starlight Kid's mask, or we can see a new champion. I think that that the Starlight Kid is hotter than she's ever been. I think if you flip the belt, you give somebody else that chance to get to that position where Kamatani is. And I think that you do title versus mask in Yokohama, have Starlight Kid win the belt, and then give Saya proper time off, have her come back right around the time for the 5-star, have Saya win the 5-star, and then we see the trilogy. This way we get a year trilogy. We see the final match in Dream Queendom in Sumo Hall and have Kamatani win the belt back. Or they can just give Saya a 4-year run with the belt. I think either one wins. This was just epic. The fact that we're able to watch this and call this is on a completely another level. These two wrestlers are two of the best wrestlers in wrestling right now to do it. As I mentioned last week, to me, this isn't the end for the two of them. I think this is just the start. I think you're going to see quite a lot of matches between these two over the next few years, and it's only going to benefit Stardom and most importantly, benefit the fans, which is us.
Agree with a lot of what you've said. I'm loath to put her in the same category as Mayu and Io yet.
Longevity, yeah. I mean, a couple of years, but
there is absolutely. I think you've got to look as well. We have discussed this before. Obviously, Saya, highest drawing Joshi in Stardom history, without it's without a shadow of a doubt. It's all about timing as well. You drop 2015, 2016 Io into this roster, she's going to have the same matches. You put Mayu on this roster, we've seen, you compare it to her IWGP Women's title reign. Some of those matches were absolutely blistering. Sareee, Syuri, Momo, absolutely. So undoubtedly, this match has certainly put Saya on another level for me, without a shadow of a doubt. Is it at the same level as Io and Mayu? Probably not yet. However, Saya Kamatani is a special talent, and to have her be at the point where, again, she's drawing the amount of tickets that she is, she's over as she is, she's producing the matches that she is, we are in the midst of something very special that we're watching. My final thing to you, because I'm aware we've spent quite a lot of time on this, my final question to you really is, what is your opinion on the hate vacuum that we have on this roster? Now, I agree. I think All-Star Grand Queendom will be the show where we start to see the cracks in hate. I think Stardom have played it well so far because hate is still over. Again, we were in Japan. We saw the reactions to hate. We know that they are still over. However, there's an argument that it could potentially be done to the detriment of the rest of the roster.
Like the NWO.
Yeah, like the NWO, absolutely. Now, what lots of wrestling companies have failed to do is know how to stop a good thing. And I'm actually going to use the WWE here, which is bizarre because it's one of the most boring, flat companies at the moment I've ever seen. Ironically, except for the women.
And CM Punk.
Even CM Punk's flat, man.
Oh, did you see those promos?
Yeah, but those promos, okay, those two promos, but how long's he been back in the WWE? Aside from his stuff with Drew,
The match with Balor?
The match
Another
with
story
Balor.
for another day. Another story for
we'll
another
talk
day.
about that. We'll talk about that.
I'm a little biased.
He's not the same. It's fine. In my eyes, anyway. You look at what WWE did with the Shield, which was hugely over, and they killed it before it got boring. You then look at the NWO, which was the biggest money mover in wrestling history, and that is now looked at, it's tainted. The entire legacy is tainted because WCW didn't know how to end it. Now, at the moment, you have got Hate winning the vast majority of the matches. You have got them with the Red Belt, the White Belt, the Goddess of Stardom tag belts, and the Artist of Stardom championships. Now, cracks are going to have to start forming at some point because they are your heels. They are a faction that are over, but they are heels. Now, if those cracks don't start developing at All-Star Grand Queendom, I do think Konami will drop the belt there. I don't see her holding it past All-Star Grand Queendom. But I'm intrigued to know if Stardom are, in your eyes, are Stardom playing this right? Or is the Hate vacuum a little bit too much? Again, it's worth pointing out that Hate have completely sold out their sort of event where they do signings. Sayaka Kurara, by the way, it has been announced today, not going to be doing signings because she's broken her fingers. She will be doing stamps, though, I believe, for the pictures.
It's a great question. Again, history is our greatest teacher. You look at the NWO, the only faction.
Tinted glasses, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you look at they almost put Vince McMahon out of business. There's a lot of other factors. It was the NWO, where they're still drawing tickets, they're still doing really well, but there's an old saying: "Leave the party early." Leave the party early, and I think that they can probably. And I thought, again, BMI 2000, I think they should have dropped the belts to O2 line. It's neither here nor there, but I think if they play this right, which for the most part they have been, I think you need to give somebody else a chance to get over. I think how I would do it, and again, I'm not going to tell Taro Okada how to book. Jeepers Creepers, is he a money-making machine for Bushi Road? And these shows have been great. I would have Starbomb walk out of Yokohama as the Goddess champions. I'd have Hanan or Hazuki, or definitely Hazuki, beat Konami, and then I'd have Kid beat Sayaka Kurara to win the red belt. And the only person that I would have win the
you'd have Kid win the Goddess and the red belt.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. Maybe the No2 line. You know what? I didn't even, because in my mind it was Micah, and then after this match it's Kid. It's definitely Kid. The buzz on Kid, especially with the whole mask thing and the fact that Korakuen leading up to it with Kamatani ripped the mask off. Another thing about this match, sorry, but I know that we're going long. Sayaka Kamatani pulls the mask off Kid, and Kid gets insanely violent. Kid's a hard hitter, but like those slaps and headbutts, and then she gets a full mount on Kamatani and starts raining down headbutts.
Yeah,
she flipped another switch, and maybe that's a switch she needs to do to defeat Kamatani. Again, there is more there with the mask. That's why I think they do the mask versus title match. So maybe O2 line. You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely. I just want to see Starbomb win the Goddess belts, but I think the money right now is in Kid chasing and then winning the belt off Kamatani. But I think if at least 2 of these 4 belts aren't off Hate by All-Star Grand Queendom, I think that they're not leaving the party early, buddy. I think that they're leaving. I don't think they're leaving the party early. I think that you'll see at least half the belts be gone off them by the end of Yokohama. And the only one that I would have chase and win the belt back would be Kamatani, because it's Kamatani and she's kind of the exception to the rule. Again, we'll see what happens. They're still drawing money. But again, leave the party early.
That does leave us with just a couple of final thoughts before we sign off. Stardom will be running Korakuen Hall on Friday, the 13th of February. Unfortunately, no card has been announced as of yet, but just to reiterate, Micah is currently scheduled to be wrestling on that card. So thankfully, the injury doesn't appear to be as bad as was first feared. Matt Turner, there's only one real way to sign off the Stardom cast. But before we get to that, we need those awards, mate.
Oh, I thought you would forget. Honorable mention for gear and hair, BMI 2000.
Yeah, fair.
Best hair, Syuri. Gave best hair to Syuri. Best gear, you hit it on the nail head. You hit it on the nail, buddy. And he had her best gear. Ami sorry. Yes.
Learning from the best. I'm learning from the best. That's what it is. Matt Turner, before we go anywhere, my friend, Io and Kairi watch. What is on the docket this week, brother?
We finally, on Friday Night SmackDown, it was been teased, Io and Rhea Ripley versus Julia and Kiana James. So we got the two former World of Stardom champions going at it. Really great stuff. Again, Kiana James has been so impressive with his teaming up with Julia. Really great stuff. We get Rhea and Io. They do some double teamings to start. Eventually, we get some heat onto Io. Io hits the Quesadora double stomp. And then in comes one Rhea Ripley. Rhea cleans house, bump and feed. Rhea sends Julia to the floor. And then Io hits the beautiful suicide dive onto Julia. Give us an Io versus Julia match. That would be so great. Rhea hits the electric chair drop to Kiana James. That scores Rhea 2 count. Rhea goes to put Kiana James away with the riptide. However, Kiana James slips out and it's a power bomb. Or she slips out and then she hits a power bomb onto from Io onto Rhea, which is really great. Julia then hits an Arrivederci knee onto Io for a 2 count. We get the waterfalls with all 4 of these wrestlers. Eventually, Julia comes out on top of the waterfalls. Julia hits a Northern Lights bomb onto Io, but as she picked Io up, Rhea blind tags herself in, so Julia does not get the 3 count. Rhea then comes in, hits the riptide onto Julia. Io then hits the moonsault onto Julia, and then Io hits a dive on the floor to Kiana James. That gives Rhea Ripley the opportunity to get the pinfall on 2-1 Julia. A really great match. I wish I would have got a little bit more time. Still really great stuff. 4 stars for me. And again, give us an Io versus Julia singles match somewhere down the line. It's just really cool just knowing their history in Stardom, that they were 2 ships passing in the night. We never got to see that match because Io left in 2018. Julia came in 2019. But really good stuff. If you have the time, definitely go and check it out as Io and Rhea retain the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, does draw to an end this episode of the Stardom Cast. We truly hope you have enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoyed Supreme Fight as well. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are literally everywhere. A 5-star review and a comment really does help the podcast out as well. Patreon.com/The World of Joshi, where you can get these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month. You can find social media at WOJ Wrestling. You can find me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Turner, sign us off, good sir.
Questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and Twitter is the easiest, bestest, and fastest way to get a hold of me. Or you can give me an email. The email address is there's 2, matt@worldofjoshi.com. And of course, the classics never die, the Stardom Cast 22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for a supremely fun episode of Supreme Fight on the Stardom Cast here on the World of Joshi Network. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because when we're all together, and everybody's different, everybody's special.